This is Jocko Podcast number 545 with Carrie Helton and me, Jocko Willink. Good evening, Carrie.
Good evening.
At just day one, there were heat and stomach problems. Day 3 brought foot pain intense enough that he said he cried. And by day 4, he had logged 150 miles on very little sleep. Later, he wrote about blisters, nerve pain, and the strange mental grind of repeating the same oval thousands of times. Still, Mason Wright kept connecting the suffering back to the reason he started. In one post, he wrote that single parents don't get to quit just because things are hard. Later, as the finish got closer, he said the run had become about resilience, pain, and discovering what he could handle. After finishing, Wright wrote in his final journal entry that he was still trying to process what he had done. Quote, mentally, I don't know how I am okay. I don't know how I kept moving. I don't know how I did this. And that's what makes me proud. End quote. And that is in a little excerpt from an article from Runner's World, and is an article about Mason Wright, who operates under the Instagram call sign Buff Runner, which is a bold claim, by the way. And this article is about the 1,000-mile run that Mason just completed in April around a high school track. And Mason's done a bunch of other things in his life, and he's having an impact beyond just running. And he's here tonight to share with us some of his experiences and lessons learned along the way. Buff runner. That is a bold statement, right?
Oh, yeah. Big time.
What makes you classified as buff? What body weight do you have to be buff? Or is it just is it a body fat percentage?
It's a mindset.
Oh, okay.
It's a mindset.
Okay.
Touche.
Yeah. Mason, thanks for joining us. We're going to get into all the kind of things you've been through in your life, and let's just start at the beginning. So, you're born where? Vegas?
Yeah, I was born in Vegas. Mm-hmm.
And then what was going on with your entry into the world? What was happening? What, 1997 you were born?
Yeah, 1997.
So what's going on?
Born in Las Vegas, lived in Green Valley, Henderson area.
Mm-hmm.
This is just like, what is it, north or whatever direction. I don't know what direction it is, but
we say outside Vegas.
Yeah, it's outside of Vegas, whatever direction. But it was, it was a nicer area. My dad, he owned a mobile wash company for a really long time, and he did all the dealerships and everything from all through California, Nevada, and Arizona. So it was a massive operation. So we lived very well, and that's just like where my life started, was in Vegas. Mm-hmm. And it was normal as far as I know. When I was 4 is when we left. Mm-hmm. And so there's very little memory. The memory that is there is broken. And most of it's just from the traumatic things that happened. A lot of domestic violence, drugs, a lot of stuff like that I was experiencing. So that's a lot of what my memories are. Mm-hmm. So it's a little broken.
So your dad, at this point, he's got a successful, sounds like a highly successful business, mm-hmm. and yet there's drugs and domestic violence in the home.
Yeah, he basically took drugs to work more. That was like his addiction was work, and he used another addiction to feed the other addiction. And so he basically would, whether it was crack or cocaine or whatever, he would use that and then go to the next, just to drive from state to state, managing all of this, and he would go days without sleeping, just doing drugs to stay awake. So the drugs in the home was, again, more of his, there weren't drugs just out and about. It wasn't a drug house. Again, we lived in a very nice area, that stuff wasn't going on directly in the house, but he was using it every day. And then of course, domestic violence, which inevitably led to the, moving. So.
And what do you, so your early memories of that? Because I try and think back of what I remember when I was a kid, and quite honestly, I don't remember much, but you remember some highlight of something that happened, and it seems like domestic violence would be the kind of thing you would remember.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm actually writing a book right now, and part of it, I'm obviously telling my story, and I was actually writing about it today. And I was writing about this. There's one specific memory that I have. I remember a lot of shouting, a lot of screaming. a lot of things like that. But there's one memory I have where our couch, who knows the layout of the actual house, I was 4 years old, but I remember shouting and screaming in the kitchen, throwing things, and I just stuck my head like in between the couch cushions just so I didn't like have to hear it. It's a weird, again, it's broken. A lot of these memories, I was 4, so it's how true is it? But I do remember, I stuck my head in the couch cushions to like just stop hearing it essentially. So that's like kind of what a lot of my memories are, is that type of stuff, right? Like trying to block out the screaming or the yelling or whatever it might have been.
And so then the marriage falls apart, I'm assuming.
Yeah. So there's a lot, and I tend to not share this part of the story publicly just because it's not my story to tell. I have my side of the story is the things that I experienced, but what happened that led my dad to go to prison is not my story to tell. So I just, for my mom's privacy, for my dad's privacy, I leave that. I just don't share that part. But my dad ended up getting arrested. And that's another memory I have, is I remember him in handcuffs, like saying goodbye and then getting put in the back of the car. Again, a very broken memory. I don't actually know what he said. I don't know what I said to him, if we hugged, whatever, but him getting put into the back of a police car.
And it's wild that this is all happening while he has this successful business, a nice home, and this is all going on in the subsurface area, and then it comes to the front because your dad's getting rolled up by the cops. And so then what happens?
Then we move back home. We moved to Utah, which ended up, that's home. I was born in Vegas, but Utah's home. So we ended up moving, and kind of bounced around with family members. My mom just got a job that she could get. She worked at it was a Delta, but it wasn't for Delta. It was like their company they subcontract out for all their mechanic work. I don't know if that's how they still do it, but this is 20 plus years ago. But she ended up working as a receptionist for them, and we bounced around families' houses just trying to figure it out, and then lived with my grandparents.
That's another, it's almost, what is it? The higher you are, the harder you fall. So for your mom to go from like a pretty stable income and all this stuff to all of a sudden she's just
it was
screwed.
I mean, it was luxury. I mean, we lived the Vegas luxury, like the leopard print stuff all over the house, like very much 90s Vegas. Like that was the house. The house was 90s Vegas. We had camel heads, like taxidermied camel heads on the wall.
I've never actually even heard of that, but
yeah, it was great. Yeah, it was weird 90s Vegas style. We all know it. You can see it, like minus the gold. We didn't have the gold all over, but like, so she lived, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, all the things to nothing.
And now she's working for a subcontractor for Delta at some menial task job.
Yeah, just like basically just trying to keep food on the table.
Okay. And how long does that last for?
So we lived with my grandparents until I was 7.
And this is her parents?
Yeah, this is her. Yeah. So my dad's grandma Jeannie, she died when I was 2. Okay. 3? No, I was 3. I have one memory of her, and I don't even know if it's a real memory. So, she lung cancer. He doesn't know his actual dad. He knows his stepdad, but yeah, no relationship with them. This is my mom's parents,
and they're up there in Utah.
Yep, just up in Bountiful, just north of Salt Lake City.
And then what goes on? Your mom, how long does your mom stick in this situation? Because I'm sure she's not super stoked to be living back at home.
No, but it was also like, what do you do?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do? We lived there it was safe. It was nice. I mean, my that side of it, like, we don't come from money. My grandparents, I grew up Mormon. My family has very deep ties in the Mormon church. My grandpa was in the 70. I don't know how familiar you are with the Mormon church, but that's like an archbishop of the Mormon church, essentially, is like the best way to put it. So he's really high up, but it's still a service job. So there's not a lot of money, but it was safe. It was modest. Food from like my grandparents helping with that. I mean, my mom could barely afford anything. We had nothing. The state took a lot of what we had in Vegas, because there was a lot of there's a lot of drug. The prison side of things. It was more than just domestic violence. So the state took a lot of stuff, leaving my mom, like, she didn't get money from the house, like nothing. All this stuff got seized, assets taken. So literally, we had nothing but her a 2002 Corolla. And that was the only, that's all basically we got in that and came home or came to Utah. So yeah, we're at my grandparents till I was 7. And she started dating my stepdad, Chad. And I mean, we loved him like out the gate. We loved him obviously because he bought us a GameCube and those types of things. I remember it's
love
such
as a low bar is at this juncture.
At that age, at 7 years old or 6 years old, I remember I came downstairs to my grandparents' house and my mom and Chad had been dating about a year at that point, and he's just sitting on the floor playing Super Mario Sunshine on the GameCube, and I'm like, oh no way, like freaking out. You got to say it was like the coolest thing ever. And I'd like just recently met him too, because like my mom was just very private with her dating life, and he was the coolest dude. So yeah, they dated for a couple of years. Obviously, there's still like a divorce that's ongoing because that doesn't just because my dad got arrested doesn't mean the divorce has gone through. So, and it's a lot harder once he's in prison because there's other layers you have to go through. So it took a while for the divorce to go through. Just because of legal layers. It wasn't really anything.
How long did he get sent to prison for?
So he got sentenced for 8 years, but served 4.9 basically. It was like 4 years and 10 months or something like that is what he served.
And what did your stepdad do?
My stepdad was a periodontist. So that's a gum doctor.
Okay.
Yeah. So you
Thank you.
Yeah. I saw the face.
Yeah. I was like, I have no idea what that
but
is.
yeah, so you have oral surgeons and you have periodontists. Oral surgeons are the bones. Periodontists are the tissues.
Okay.
So it's like an orthopedic surgeon versus a general surgeon, like bones versus tissues. It's the same.
Got it.
Same thing, just the dentistry world. So he was a periodontist, and again, it's just funny how it works. Like again, back, so they get married just before I turned 8, and again, right back to that like lavish lifestyle. I mean, he's a periodontist. They make very, very good money. Mm-hmm. We bought a house in Farmington, and life was wonderful again. It was anything.
Did you have brothers or sisters?
Yeah. So I have 10 siblings, but only one full sibling. So I have 9 siblings. There's 10 kids, 9 siblings, but only one full sibling, my little brother, Graham. Okay. But yeah, so he was with me this whole time, but when he was 6 months old is when my dad went to prison. So he has zero recollection of anything. Any trauma that he has from it is all just that subconscious trauma of like being held while domestic violence is going on, that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so he was there the whole time. But yeah, I have a bunch of half siblings that I actually have good relationships with.
And these were surprising. From your stepdad's?
No, these are from my dad.
Oh, okay.
My dad. So my dad there's 6 baby mamas in the family.
Wow.
That's a whole other. That's a whole other story. But yeah, so I have 9 other siblings, 8 that are alive, 1 passed away. But yeah, so but again, all of them are halves except Graham.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now your mom gets married to your stepdad.
Yeah, Chad.
And then you guys are now back into like a pretty nice lifestyle with the periodontist. Am I saying that right? Periodontist.
Sounds like a dinosaur.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
So things are kind of
Periosaurus.
Yeah. Things are on the up and up. Mm-hmm. And so how old are you now? You're like
so they got married they got married in May. I turned 8 in June. So a month later I turned 8. Yeah, and I mean it was wonderful. I mean it was like the perfect neighborhood for a kid. Typical white picket fence. All the homes are beautiful. Kids running around. It's safe. It's in tucked away in a corner in Farmington. Now that whole area is developed. It's pretty wild. But yeah, it was a brand new development in the area. It was one of the first developments that was built over there, and it was great. Life was fantastic over there.
You're using past tense was. So yeah. What happened?
So when I was 10, he tragically passed away. It happened out of nowhere. So he had a heart condition, and he had to take his medication every day to keep his heart functioning. And he forgot that he took his meds. And it's not like, I mean, people forget to take their meds. He forgot that he had taken his meds. And so he took another dose, which with this medication, it's like, it could happen, it could not, but it ended up causing cardiac arrest. And he died leaving work. He was the last person out of the office, but didn't make it out of the office. So it was one of those things that it was like, if it was 10 minutes earlier, he'd probably still be around, and it's pretty crazy. But yeah, he passed away when I was 10, which was obviously really rough. But
and so then what happens? Did he have insurance? Did you anything like that?
Nope.
You're shaking your head. No, that's
no,
not a good sign.
no. So I mean, the story, like, it was a crazy morning finding out. Like, this is one of the most vivid memories in my lifetime. Is I remember waking up. I didn't see him the night before. High School Musical 2 came out that night, and I remember my grandma, so his mom, and his sister-in-law came over to the house at like 9 p.m. And every Friday we'd go to Blockbuster, we'd rent a movie, and we would get pizza from Pizza Hut, because it was like the old-fashioned. We're talking Pizza Hut.
Oh yeah.
And we do this every Friday. It was a thing, stuffed crust pizza. We'd get a movie from Blockbuster, and it was movie night on Fridays. And he obviously didn't come home, and so we're just kind of like waiting. And so then my grandma and my aunt come over, and I'm young enough still that I'm like, I kind of was like, what the hell? Like, this is weird, but also young enough that it didn't really register. It was just like, oh, hey, grandma's coming over. I don't actually remember how it was pitched to us, but how it was pitched to us is we get to stay up and watch the premiere of High School Musical at midnight. So we stay up. Obviously, Chad doesn't come home. Wake up the next morning, and I'm like, where's Chad? Like where's Dad? Like, I want to see him. So I go into my mom's room, and he's not in bed, and I'm like, the hell? I go look out the window. I'm like, oh, maybe he left for work, or like had to go to the office or something. So I go look out the window, and his Lexus is sitting out front. I'm like, okay, maybe he's in his office. So I go downstairs, and my uncle this is my mom's brother, just sitting on the couch. And I'm like, it is 7 a.m. Why the hell are you sitting on my couch right now? Like, this is, and we don't have the best relationship with him. So I was really confused. And he was just like, why don't you just go upstairs and come back down in a little bit? And I don't know how much longer it was, but we went downstairs, and my mom told us that he died. And I remember that's the word that she used. She's like, Chad died last night. It was, I mean, you can't.
How old was he?
He's 42.
Oh, man.
Yeah, sudden cardiac arrest. So it was instant for him, which is it's a comforting, feeling to know that it wasn't suffering. But
so then doesn't have insurance.
No insurance,
or at least not enough to cover.
No insurance, no will, and because it was a medication issue, the state of Utah basically deemed it a suicide. And so and in the state of Utah, just because of there's a lot of influence with religion in the state of Utah. And so suicide, if you don't have a will, it basically the state gets everything. And so my mom, again, everything got seized. And so it's one of those things that, again, it gets back to zero. We're back literally. Actually, we're back to negative, because my mom got all of his dental school debt, because that school loans, unforgiven. So everything gets taken. They're like, oh, by the way, here is $80,000. You have no degree. Good luck paying this. You have $250 a month of medical school loans that you
for
or dental
next
school
40
loan.
years or whatever.
So it was. I mean, we're back to zero again. It was. I mean, this is where like my memories and understand. Like, when he passed, it completely changed my brain chemistry. It's my wife's a therapist, and so it's been cool to like talk about these things over the years and talk about just the mental side, like how trauma actually impacts the brain. And it completely rewired my brain. I went from, I was in a smart kid program at school. I was reading at a college level in second grade or fourth grade, sorry. And it was just a star student. Like I was very smart, athletic. Like everything was it was like the star student kind of thing. And I went to barely being able to read at a kindergarten level. I couldn't do basic math. I basically went from the special class to the special class. Like it flipped.
The opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, it was really, it was something that now that I'm an adult and I can think back on it, it really is. It's such an interesting thing to think about of how my brain chemistry legitimately just flipped over on itself.
And is that what does your wife say? What is that?
Yeah, so it's a trauma response. Whether you know from combat experience, when you experience these extreme traumas, seeing a death or whatever the trauma might be, it literally you emit different hormones. Hormones change in the mind. The neuroplasticity that our minds have also rewires to essentially protect itself. And that protection can go positive or negative, but when you're young, a lot of the times there isn't that understanding of like the resiliency factor and these types of things. Naturally, humans are resilient, but it's still, you're not developed enough. And so it just basically flips your brain over when you're young.
So it's almost, I mean, the way it sounds like it's some sort of protective measure that your brain is taking, that it's not going to become too attached to anything. It's not going to overthink the thing. It's like, hey, just dumb this thing down right now.
Yep.
We just got to move forward and be able to do basic survival stuff.
Yes.
Eat, sleep, and whatever. And therefore, we're going to kind of tone down this other part of the brain that would be thinking about all this stuff.
Yeah.
Am I even close? I have no idea.
No. That's spot on. I think a good, like a very acute version of this is I've seen in like Buds or anything like this where they're like, hey, what's 2 + 2? What's your name? Or like if they're rescuing someone, those basic questions, you got to just make sure their mind is there. And that's a very acute, like that thing that fixes itself, but that can happen on a large scale with a severe trauma where you literally lose the ability to compute simple things.
Mm-hmm. So then what happens? So now your mom, she got to go back to work. Like, what's the deal?
Yeah. So she wasn't working. She would basically just help at the typical tax loophole, working at the office, but she actually did do a lot of paperwork at the office. She had to just find another job. She worked a couple jobs at one point, but where she ended up, where she still is actually to this day, was at the hospital in Salt Lake, working as an MA at an orthopedic clinic. It was my uncle, his brother. So this is my, like her brother-in-law. His brother is a spine surgeon. And he was like, yeah, I need an MA. She can come work for me. And she went and worked at this orthopedic clinic, and now she's jumped around to a couple different doctors over the years. And she's still there, but that's where she kind of ended up. And we got this is where, I tell this story, but it's, there's always someone who has it. There's always someone who has it. Whereas I had it in reality, it was not as bad as it could have been. We were able to go live in Bountiful, Utah after, instead of having to go to a women's shelter in Vegas. Mm-hmm. We were able to have support from family, which a lot of people don't have. We had things that a lot of people don't get. And so it was able to put us in positions that have, allowed me to be where I'm at and made it easier to be where I am. This is a blessing, a curse, and a blessing in disguise all at the same time. My aunt, she had very severe rheumatoid arthritis. It's my mom's older sister, and it ended up causing her kidneys to fail, and she passed. So she passed in May, and then Chad passed in August. And my grandparents had to take care of her most of her life because like her hands were stuck in this position. She couldn't really take care of herself. And so basically she was taken care of, but she wasn't mentally handicapped at all. So she could live a life. She just needed physical help. And so she had her own place. My grandparents owned it, but she had her own place. She'd just passed. And now there's this vacant condo. And so it was this blessing that there's now, instead of having to go to like low income housing, out in West Valley or whatever out in Utah, we're now in a very affluent area, living in a nice condo. It's a small condo. My brother and I literally shared a bed until I was 16 years old. Because my mom couldn't afford to get bunk beds. We just used the bed that we had, used the same mattress for 15 years. Like we did what we could. And but that's thankfully we were able to end up there and live there. My mom actually, funny enough, so when my grandparents passed a couple of years ago, they owned the condo, and so the family was trying to figure out what to do, and my mom and her new husband actually bought the place, so they still live there. But yeah, that's where I ended up and stayed there in Centerville, just kitty corner to Bountiful.
So did you start to get refocused over time, like in school and whatnot? Did you go from, did you start to recover from the kind of mental lapse that you had?
The mental side of it, yes and no. It's I always struggled with school. And I didn't really get that confidence back. I think my mind came back. I never went to class in high school, but it was still graduated with like a 3.3 or 3.4 or whatever, just like showing up and taking the test and then not going to school for 2 weeks again kind of thing. But, so like I was still like, I got that back as far as like, I was still, smart enough to never go to class and still, score high. But I didn't get that confidence back until college, when I started doing really well and,
I mean, across
classes.
the board confidence, or are you talking about just like intellectual confidence?
Intellectual confidence. I've always kind of had a spark. there's always been a little bit of a fire there. Even though, obviously there was all the things that, we dealt with, like there was always that spark. I remember in 8th grade, obviously I had behaviors. I had behavior issues. Obviously like domestic violence, drugs, death, a lot of things going on trauma wise. And so I obviously had behaviors, I was loud, I was outspoken. What kid wouldn't be, and so teachers obviously wasn't their favorite, but I had an 8th grade English teacher who in front of the whole class told me that I would be a failure and that I would amount to nothing. Her words, almost word for word, is what she said to me in front of everyone. This is a full class with all my friends. And I just said, watch me. And then I left the class. And then I got suspended for leaving class. Or I got in-school suspension for walking out of class in the middle of class.
And this is 8th grade.
This is in 8th grade. So like there's that fire, that fire's been there. Mm-hmm. That, Goggins calls it the it factor, like that. I don't know if that's the it factor, but there's always been that little bit of fire that's been there that's, fueled whatever's going on. But yeah, there's that intellectual confidence that I really struggled with for a long, long time.
And then what about sports? Because you were an athlete.
Yeah, sports kept me from doing drugs and drinking and all the stuff. And my girlfriend also kept me away from that stuff too. She's like, if you ever do that, I'm gonna break up with you. I'm like, okay. She's now my wife, by the way. Good. We've been dating since 9th grade.
Nice.
But but sports really kept me out of trouble because I loved football. Football was my entire life. I dedicated every waking moment of my life to that sport. And so if I'm doing drugs, no, I never went to class, but I made sure I had good enough grades to keep playing football. And like if I was drinking, doing drugs, if I was getting in trouble, that was my only shot out. Sports was my only opportunity to escape. I mean, you hear it all the time with NFL athletes. It was like football was what got me out. Mm-hmm. Football is what saved me. And that's kind of how it was. Obviously not as extreme as some of these other situations, but it was a similar thing where it's like football is what kept me from digging myself into a hole. Mm-hmm. And so I did pretty much every sport. But football, track, and wrestling were my core 3. I quit wrestling early on in high school just because didn't get along with the coach. So I ended up not continuing past 10th grade. But sports very much kept me out of trouble, and is the reason I'm in the position I'm in now, honestly. It's taught me a lot.
So you were into football. So does this mean you were into football enough to be like, you're lifting, you're trying to get strong, you're working on your speed, you're in the whole 9 yards?
Oh yeah. I'd wake up at 4 a.m. in high school and go to the gym before school. And then I would go to football class and lift, agility, film, whatever it was that we were doing that day. And then if it's off season, I'd go to the field and I would do drills, or if it was in season, we'd have practice. Mm-hmm. If it was a winter, I would go to the gym again. And that I did, my senior year was very regimented like that. And that kind of started in my junior year. My sophomore year, it was just figuring things out. Mm-hmm. Kind of thought I was hot shit starting varsity as a sophomore and thought I could just, do whatever. And then I quickly learned, oh yeah, that's not going to fly if I want to play college football. But yeah, I mean, I trained my ass off in high school.
And your plan was to play college football?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I had the scholarships. Had all the scholarships.
D1, D2, D3?
All of it.
Really?
Yep. University of Utah, all Utah schools. And then a lot of like the D1 AA.
What
D2,
position did you play?
Defensive end. I used to weigh 285 pounds.
Damn.
I was a big boy. I can show you really quick. I was a big boy.
What were your numbers like?
I ran a 4.74.
Check.
Yeah, I ran a 4.74. I had a 38-inch vertical.
Check.
No, yeah, I was a big boy. And then all my lifts, I mean, I had 450-pound bench. I could squat over 600. I power clean 315. Like I was
beast mode.
Yeah, no, I was a unit. So this was me at the All-Star game.
Beast.
Yeah, no, I was a big boy. I was a big boy. But yeah, and I just, yeah, again, I had it all lined up. Defensive MVP, the All-Star game, like it was, I was good. I was good. I was All-State, the whole thing, and I ended up just being like, I don't want to play. I was going to go to Weber State. I was going to do track and football there. This is pre-NIL. You want to get paid, you got to do 2 sports. This is way before NIL. And yeah, and then I quit day one because I was like, I'm not with my boys. I'm not, I don't want to, and also school. Like I can't dedicate my life to football and to school. And like, I was good at football, but I also understood the reality of, sure, maybe I could bench 225 32 times at 17 years old. These are combine level stats, but I also understand there's a difference between combine stats and being good enough to play in the NFL. And I knew that I could, if I worked my ass off, I could probably get there. But did I want that? Like, was that the career trajectory I wanted to take and potentially damage my body, my mind, or do we focus on school? And I had conversations with a couple people, and I didn't have a lot of male role models growing up. Social media wasn't really around to find those people in that way. And also just like there weren't a lot of men in my life. And so a lot of this was kind of figuring it out on my own. But the few people that were around, I have the conversations with them of like, what would you do? Like, I don't know what to do. And there was one in particular that was like, he played 1 year of college football and was like, you either pick football or you pick school, but you can't pick both. And that was kind of the decision maker of like, I'm going to school, or I'm going to focus on school.
Was there something that you were super interested in about school?
I actually got accepted to dental school in the end. So that was I was going to go to dental school. I was following in Chad's footsteps. We were going to go to VCU, which is where he went. He was top of his class, periodontist at VCU. So it was, I wanted to be a periodontist. I wanted to follow those footsteps, and I was all in. I mean, I literally went the whole way until having to move and was like, I don't know if I actually want to do this, because I was kind of doing it. There was a part of me that was doing it because I felt like I needed to follow in his footsteps, but also the financial piece where we never really had much. At one point, we were on food stamps. We never really had a lot. And so in my mind, financial freedom was the only path. Like, I have to do it because of the money. And I realized, like, you can do anything you want. You have to, sometimes you're going to have to work a little bit harder. Like, sure, I've had to work way harder now than I would have had to as a periodontist, because I would have gotten my salary. It would have been easy to start a practice. Like, there are those things that you're a doctor. It's a little bit easier. You had to obviously go to dental medical school, but the business side of things, it becomes a little bit easier. But
yeah, there's a definite well-worn path.
Yes.
That's not an easy path, but it's well-worn, and you can see where it's going to go. And if you stay on the path, you'll end up in this certain place.
Exactly.
Whereas when you're doing something in the open ocean, of the world, like, there's a lot of things, and there's no well-worn path, and you can make a wrong turn, and it can take you a while to recover from. So there's definitely some risk there.
Yeah. So that's, but I just decided, I'm like, I love nutrition. I built my meal plan for my football team in high school. Like, I loved it, but I always saw it as a hobby. I saw it as something that was like fun. And I was like, why can't I have fun for work? Why does it have to be so serious? And so I was like, I want to be a dietitian. I want to be a dietitian. And so I had to go back to school to just take a couple of prereqs. I had all the science and everything. I mean, biochemistry, organic chemistry. I mean, all of the whole list of stuff. So I thankfully had the whole science background, and I just had to go take a couple nutrition classes so that I could basically apply to these programs, and went and became a dietitian.
And then what's going on with your physical activities at this time? Because you can't just be that addicted to athletics and then just say, okay, I'm out.
Yeah. So, we go back. I stopped playing football, and I didn't know what to do. I was just lifting heavy still in the gym. I naturally lost a little bit of weight because when you're that heavy, you have to eat to stay that heavy. And so I naturally lost 15, 20 pounds. I weighed about 265-ish, and was just in the gym lifting, no real direction, not sure what to do with my life, not sure where to go. And my wife, or my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, her family was running a Spartan race. It was a Las Vegas, I think they do a sprint and super, but it was a sprint, which is a 5K with 20 obstacles. And I was just like, all right, what the hell? Why not? What do I got to lose, But I was like, if I'm going to do this, and whenever I've done anything in my life, it's if I'm going to do it, you got to do it. You can't just show up, go through the motions. You got to do it. So I started training. My first run was on a treadmill. I, for some reason, cranked the miles per hour up, thinking I was fine, and passed out after half a mile, thinking that I was just could keep going. That was my first run ever. That was 9 years ago, half a mile. And then a week later, I went and ran 1 mile up this switchback that was just near where my mom's house is. And it took me 40 minutes because I just couldn't. I'm just trying to get up this hill. And but I just kept at it. I knew I needed to lose weight, so I focused a little bit more on what I was eating, and dove into the whole Spartan world, and really, I fell in love with it.
So how many races were you doing a year or whatever?
Yeah, so I'm still in college. I'm still a poor college student. So I was just trying to get the trifecta. And so that's what I was doing, was basically I was doing 3 a year.
So that's a thing for them? In the Spartan,
you get a trifecta. If you do the sprint, super, and beast in one calendar year.
How big is the beast?
It's a half marathon, and then with 30 obstacles. And then the super is a 10K with 25 obstacles.
Got it. If you do all 3 in a year, you get the trifecta.
You get a trifecta. It's the medal. You have a medal, and then there's not a quarter. It's a third of a medal. And then at the end of the year, all three of them connect together into one bigger medal. And so, so I got really into those. And it helped. Running, there's running, and my wife saved my life. Because at this time, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And the one thing I dedicated my whole life to is now gone. And I thought I had no purpose in life. And there was a point in time that, I had the plan. I was staring at the gun at the top of the closet. I was ready to go. But it was my wife. I was just thinking about her, again, my girlfriend at the time. And I was like, I can't leave her. That's not fair to her. And then right after that, she invited me to run this race, and it completely changed the trajectory of my life. Damn,
dude, wait. Well, that's a little bit of a excursion you just took from, hey, we were working out doing Spartan races. I quit football.
Yeah, this goes back to right before Spartan races. But yeah, no, it was, I didn't know what I was doing with my life. I think it's something that a lot of young men go through. You have this transition in life where you go from high school to having to figure out how to be a man. And if you don't have those figures in your life, if you're too caught up in social media, if whatever it might be, if you're not exercising, if you're not doing these important key things and you don't have these key things around you, and we see it's one of the most unfortunate statistics. And what is it? It's a couple hundred men a day. Mm-hmm. And it's a very real problem that we have. And it's something that I'm weirdly enough grateful that I actually experienced that and went through that, because I think it's helped me through a lot of these big things that I've now done in my life.
How long were you in that mindset for?
Quite a while.
Like weeks, like months?
I mean, it was long. It was months, like almost a year.
And this is while you're going to college?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was, I can tell you my breaking point was, I had a professor at Weber State, and I was in anatomy. I was in the class with my buddy. It was just me and my buddy living in this shit apartment. I mean, we were paying $600 a month for rent total. Mm-hmm. It was, I mean, someone got murdered like right out our front door. I mean, it was a hellhole, and it was just like like the walls were peeling. Horrible place. So like living in that environment was terrible. But we had this anatomy teacher that it was just really unfortunate timing for us. He was a medical school anatomy teacher at Yale. Wife gets her dream job, so he moves out here. Couldn't get a job at the U because the U has like a world-renowned anatomist who ended up taking anatomy from later. And so he's just like, well, I don't like, where can I get a job? Ends up at Weber State. Wife cheats on him, leaves him, and he's now stuck in Ogden, Utah after having his dream job, hated life, and just took it out on us. And so we were doing like 60 hours of homework a week on top of like everything else we had to do. And it broke us. And then on top of the fact of just like again, it's all of the stuff of trying to find purpose in life, not feeling like I'm good enough. I also now, I'm dealing with the anxiety and depression of all the traumas that I've experienced that I've never processed, all coming up at this time. And so it was the perfect storm that led me to this very, very dark place where every day I thought about it. Every day I thought about ending my life. And then there was the one night, it thankfully has only been one time, that I had a plan. The gun was loaded, but I like it, I think it was that thought of like leaving my wife my girlfriend behind, mm-hmm. that stopped it. But it's hard to know what it really was. I don't know if it was my own fire that stopped it. I don't know if it was a mix of them, but something stopped it. And I'm very, very obviously grateful that I'm still here.
So the next day, do you then wake up in the morning and you're like, that's behind me? Did you get that kind of a eureka moment?
Yes and no. The depression, even now, I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. I'm so at peace with myself. I'm in the best place mentally I've ever been. But those thoughts, those depressive thoughts, are something that kind of stay with you forever in a way. They don't take hold. They don't own you anymore. But it's one of those things that's just kind of, it kind of is almost always there. And so the next morning, it was, a good way to put it is kind of like, it's kind of like after you finish a race or you do something really hard and you just wake up exhausted. That's kind of what it was, where I just woke up and I was just like, oh my God, like I'm just mentally a blur. I'm just really tired. It's exhausted. That's kind of how it felt the next morning. But it's, we were talking about it when we were doing some interviews earlier, the mindset of, like never make a decision in the dark is what I say. And this darkness is not just physically in the dark, like in a 100-miler. It's the middle of the night. It sucks. It's really easy to want to quit when it's pitch black, freezing cold, and you're in pain. But don't make that decision in the dark. But then you also have the mental darkness. Don't make those decisions when it's dark. And because you're going to wake up the next morning and you're going to have that clarity again. It might not be perfectly crystal clear, but you're going to feel better. There is always light at the end. The sun always comes back up. And so that's kind of, again, it was a weird day. But it was almost like it's another day. Like, let's just focus on today now. And that's kind of where my mind started to go, was like, okay, let's just focus on getting through today. And then we'll deal with tomorrow.
Man. So did you start to kind of see a path for yourself? Now you're starting the Spartan races. You get the dietitian goal. Is that, do you kind of start to see like, oh, I can be a productive human being with value to the world?
Yes, it was running. It was running where it was like, it started to give me that purpose again. That feeling of like, I can be someone. I can build a life. I can be what I want to be. I can do the things that I want to do. And the understanding that you're going to have to work for it. And that was something that I think I was struggling with at the time. Was I went from not having a lot to having even less, living in this POS apartment. And it just felt like this was going to be my life forever. This is my life forever. I'm just always going to be poor. I'm always going to have nothing. This is my life. And I didn't want to live that life. But then it's, now I'm starting to see, hey, I'm actually pretty damn good at this Spartan thing. Well, let's see where this goes. Like we'll at least see where this goes. And then we can figure it out later. And that's kind of the mindset that you almost have to have when you're navigating those suicidal thoughts is like, well, let's figure this thing out. And then, we'll revisit this later. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, there's also this. Oh, I'm pretty good at this. And then it kind of starts. And that's at least how it worked for me. We're now Spartan. It's like, oh, I'm good at this. Let's see where this goes. And little did my wife knew she'd open Pandora's box when she invited me to run that race. But it really was like, it's what set that trajectory of understanding, like I can do difficult things, not just running, but in life. It gets, things are going to get hard, but you can do hard things and you're good at it.
Did you share any of these thoughts with your girlfriend at the time?
No one actually knew that I was dealing with this, which you just got to talk about it. Mm-hmm. It's just something no one's going to judge you. It's the hardest part of it is saying something because I get it. I've been there. You feel weak. Like I wanted to say something, but I felt like I'd be weak if I said something. And so I'm not going to say anything. Whereas if I just said something, we would have never had that night because I would have been able to talk about it. I would have been able to talk to people about it where I just held it to myself. I didn't tell them for years. Years. I think it was like 3 or 4 years later that I told my wife.
Yeah. And I think one of the big things that comes out is people go, oh yeah, the world's a big place and it can be scary sometimes. Oh yeah. That's the way. That's pretty normal.
Yeah.
You're not sure what you're going to do. Yeah. That's pretty normal. Oh, you feel like you're not doing a great job right now. Yeah. That's normal. Mm-hmm. Oh, the pressure feels like it's so much, like all those things that people mm-hmm. feel at some juncture that can be a crushing burden on your soul.
Yeah.
But like everyone that you're walking by on the street, almost everyone's been there at some point and said, yeah, I had this happen. I had that happen. I had another thing happen. People just go through this life.
Yeah.
People go through some heavy things. And sometimes it definitely seems like, oh, this doesn't seem like it's going to end.
Yes.
This pressure or this weight doesn't seem like it's ever going to be lifted. And if you have that feeling and you don't tell anyone, that goes, oh yeah, well, let me tell you what happened to me. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you what happened to my brother. Let me tell you what happened to my sister. Let me tell you what happened to my dad. Let me tell you what happened to my buddy. And everyone goes through these challenges and tribulations, and it's like, yeah, you're going to get through it.
Yeah.
And you're going to come out the other side, and that's an important message. But if you don't tell anyone and you think it's just you, that's, I think, very isolating mm-hmm. and problematic.
Well, and I think this is, something that a lot of young men experience in particular where, and in my situation, there weren't a lot of male role models in my life. So the only visual I had because of where I grew up was these super successful men, but they were successful. The way that I visualized that success was because like they had the family and they had, so I was like, oh, I can't do that. Like, how am I ever going to get there? I barely even know what $100 in my pocket feels like, let alone a $2 million house. And so there's also that factor of like, I felt like I was genuinely alone because I felt like I didn't have anybody to talk to. When you obviously do. It's, but I think with young men, it feels like you have to have a man that you can talk to. And you might have male role models in your life, but they might not be the right ones who are people you can actually talk to about this, who are just like, well, suck it up, don't be a bitch. And that's not what you need to hear in those situations. And so it's a problem. I mean, you know it, we all know it, like that this is an epidemic that, that we're dealing with in the United States and across the world, quite frankly. But yeah, it's, you just gotta talk, and we're all going through it. We've all been there.
Yeah. Yeah. Life's rough, man.
Yeah.
Life's rough.
Dude, it's something that like, it's funny. It's a quote I just heard recently that I think is so helpful for just younger adults and just people in general. We're dealing with stuff our whole life. And this is something that would have really helped me because I felt like even at 18 years old that I was so far behind because we had so little. And so I just felt like I was never, ever going to get there. Never, ever going to be the person sitting at this table right now. And it's that the compass was invented before the clock, because people back then didn't care how long it took. They just cared that they got there. And I love it. It's so powerful because it's true. You're not behind. Life's going to take you where it wants to take you. You know, life is like water. It's going to go where it wants to go. But if you just keep moving forward, you don't give up, you don't quit, and just focus on following true north. Do everything in your power to follow that line. You're going to get there. You're not behind. Again, the compass was invented before the clock.
Yeah, it's part of the gig too. It's part of the deal.
Yeah.
You know, I remember I drove a 1997 Dodge Grand Caravan with the window tape shut on the driver's side because it was broken and I didn't get it fixed.
Yep.
And then my wife and I, we lived in a really small house, and when you walked through the front door of the house, on the right-hand side was the couch with the TV. On the left-hand side, when you walked through the front door, was our bed. And because I had 3 kids at the time, 2 girls in, it was a 2-bedroom house, 2 girls in one bed, the boy in another bedroom, and my wife and I were living in the living room. And the thing is, what's crazy is I look back at, like, I did not give a shit. I was like, yeah, this is what we're doing. This is how we're rolling. This is what's up. This is kind of the lore of life.
Yeah.
Like the lore of, hey, well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make things happen. I don't know. I never really was too focused on, like, I knew that there was the right path to be on. Like, this is what you got to do. You know, I wanted to buy a house. I wanted to own a house. It was 934 square feet. You got a 5-person family? This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like, this is how we're rolling. And I never even felt frustrated about it. Now that I think back, I mean, I'm just thinking back right now for the first time, kind of from this perspective of being in a spot where it's like, oh, if I look at it right now, I can admit that it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
If you'd have asked me at the time, I wouldn't have thought it sucked at all. I would have been like, oh no, dude, look at this. All my kids are going to come out into my bed in the morning. All 3 of them are going to pile into this bed, which is on the floor in the living room. And that's what we're going to do. And it's going to be fun. So I think that framing things up right.
Perspective is everything.
Yeah. And again, now it's like, well, you know, I have my own room. And I have my room right now in my house is on the 2nd floor. And it's got a little office and my own bathroom with my wife. We have our own freaking wing, basically, right? You know? And it's like, now it's like, I can't imagine living in the living room. It's like, bro, at the time, I didn't care at all. So I think you got to look, too, hey, where you are right now is not necessarily where you're going to be forever. Mm-mm. And especially if you're thinking strategic about, hey, there's little sacrifices I'm making right now. It's going to be okay. We'll make sacrifices now, and they'll pay off in the future.
You got to do hard things. Things have to suck before they get better.
Yeah.
That's just life. It has to suck before it gets better. If it doesn't suck, it's never going to get better.
So what was the transition from Spartan races to ultra running?
It was COVID.
Oh.
COVID hits. I get invited to be on Team USA. You know, I'm running as a pro. I just ran in the Spartan World Championship. They're about to like roll out like this whole, like world tour. I'm going to be one of the athletes on
for the
Team
Spartan
USA.
race.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm going to be on Team USA. Like this is sick. And then COVID. And what else is there to do but to go run in nature? So I actually was running the Grand Canyon right before everything shut down. So I went and ran the Grand Canyon right before everything shut down. Like everything was kind of up in the air, and that was like my introduction to ultra running was the Grand Canyon. Quite the introduction. But then again, COVID hits and I'm like, well, I don't know what else the hell to do. Well, let's just go run to the top of this mountain. Let's go, just run far and see what happens. So, I ran the tallest peak in Utah. It was about 34 miles or whatever. And then 2021, some ultra races started to come back. I now had a taste for it. I'm like, well, let's just go run an ultra. Like, I had some friends that were running this 100K, or it's actually a 90K. I got lost and it turned into a 100K. So my belt buckle says, what, 92, 90, whatever it is, but I ran 100.
Dude, an 8-click excursion.
Yeah.
Oof.
Oh yeah, it was rough. So I just signed up for this race. No idea what I'm doing. And mile 20, I actually tore my posterior tib, ran 40 miles on it and finished the race. I got second to last place with 30 seconds to spare to get my buckle.
Damn.
Yeah, it was sweet.
How many hours is that?
It was 16 hours basically.
16 hours,
Yeah.
and was your first 100. That was 100K.
100K. So that was like my first legitimate ultra. And you'd think I tore my posterior tib. I couldn't run for 6 months, but I had this itch. I was like, that was awesome. I want to do that again, even though it sucked so bad. But I get back into Spartan because I did have an injury that I had 3 doctors tell me I'd never run again. So, and I'm like, fuck you, like I'm going to go run again. Like go to hell. Like you can't tell me what to do. You're freaking sitting there, just sitting behind a desk. Like you don't know what you're talking about.
Eat it, nerd.
Yeah, exactly. Eat it, nerd. So I'm like, so I do the physical therapy, I do all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, I need to get my mojo back. Spartan. It's 2022. Spartan's back. Like, let's go. So I signed up for a few races, podium. Cool. Mojo's back. Let's get the hell out of here. Because I want to go back to ultra. 2023, I have a whole list.
Did you feel like you had more of a capability in ultra, or did you just like it more?
I wanted more. Spartan was great. It was fun, but it was fun. And, when there's a kind of a pattern in my life where it's like, yeah, it's fun, but can we do a little bit more? Like, can we go a little bit further? Like, what else can we do? And ultra running also was fun, but it was like, I had to earn that shit. Like running a Spartan race is quick. It's a couple hours at most. That type of suffering, it's suffering, but it's not suffering. It's acute pain for a minute. But like, I was like, I want to feel that. And it goes back to a lot of the trauma of everything. And, there's a part of it that's running away, but there's also a part of me that's chasing it. And we can kind of talk about that in a minute. But I wanted that suffering. And so, but I needed my mojo back. I needed to make sure I could even run again, go podium a few races, and I'm like, okay, cool. Ultras, let's go.
And you're not built like an ultra runner.
No.
All.
I weighed right now. I think I'm back about like 202 last time I weighed. I'm probably 202, 205 somewhere.
What's the official like Clydesdale weight class?
I think it's 200.
200.
Yeah, I think so. It might be 225. I forget. They've changed it a few times. But yeah, it's basically like 200. And so, but this is how much I weighed during the time. It was funny. I have a picture on one of the podiums. I'm as tall as the dude standing on the first place podium. I got second place. And I'm as tall, like I was just like, these dudes are like a buck, $140, $150, and I'm 200 pounds, almost a foot taller, just like, crushing it in these races. And, but again, it just like, and I was kind of, cause this is still like ultra running cause right now it's
on fire.
It's on fire. Still relatively new at the time. Goggins was starting to really take a foothold from like a social media perspective at this time. And so like it's kind of starting to like get its thing here. But I kind of was pushed out of the ultra community a little bit because I didn't fit the narrative.
You're a buff runner.
I'm a hybrid athlete, like it's that whole hybrid athlete thing. And I didn't fit this narrative of
Were
this
you still
granola.
lifting?
Oh yeah. I even training for these 1,000 miles, I was lifting the whole time.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh,
Respect.
the gym, as much as I love running, the gym is my safe place. There's a reason I own a gym. It's like, I love the gym. I love lifting all day. But yeah, it's, again, we're getting into the ultra space. I wanted that. I wanted more. So 2023 comes around and I have a whole list of ultras and I'm going to go run. Getting ready for all of them. And June was my first one. And I actually suffered a pretty severe cardiac event. I was just training so much and opposite. So I was full blown powerlifting and full-blown ultra training. You can lift weights and you can run. You can power lift and you can run, but you can't do the extreme because you have extreme aerobic and extreme anaerobic happening. The heart just can't do that cross that many times. So basically what I was diagnosed with was a unspecified major cardiac event where basically it happens in triathletes where your heart essentially just like tries to stop. It's just like, I'm tired, bro. Peace. And then it obviously can't. So it stops and then starts again, and it ends up causing heart attack-like symptoms, and I'm in the hospital for a couple of days and doing a whole bunch of tests. So I actually didn't run any. I ran a couple of like, there's Cirque series in Utah. It's like, they're actually all over the place, but.
Did they put you on some kind of protocol, or are they like, hey, this is what we're going to monitor, this is what we're going to look for? Like,
yeah, so I did a bunch of tests.
Why are you deadlifting 500 pounds and running 500 miles?
Yeah, so it was actually really funny. They couldn't do they couldn't do stress testing in the hospital. They didn't have the equipment for it. So they gave me this special heart rate strap and like a couple of like nodes and said, hey, we need you to go trail running 3 days after you just had this freaking like heart attack. So I'm having a panic attack running up this mountain because my heart rate's spiking, and I also just like had a heart attack basically. And so I'm panicking, and that was actually a really big mental piece for me that really flipped my mentality of you can own yourself, you can own your mind. That's what I was on this run, and I'm panicking. I'm just like, I'm gonna have another heart attack.
Especially after what happened to Chad.
Yeah.
Right? This has got to be in your brain somewhere.
Yeah. And it's, I'm scared I'm going to have a heart attack. I'm in the mountains. Like, what if something happens? I'm really starting to panic. That I used to have panic attacks.
I think I would have been running laps around a hospital if I were you. Never mind the trail.
Yeah. It was a weird protocol, but like, I was panicking. And I used to have these panic attacks when I was, suffering from, dealing with all the depression. I would literally curl up in a ball in the corner and just shake. My panic attacks were so bad. This happened every day for months on end. That also added into the whole depressive thing. But so this panic starts. I haven't had a panic attack in years, and I'm like, oh my God, like what is happening? And I just took a deep breath and I said, own yourself. Stop being a bitch. Own yourself. Own yourself, own your mind. And I actually started just repeating, own yourself, own yourself. And my pace got faster. I got more steady. My heart rate dropped. And it really changed my mentality of you have control over everything. I mean, in my shirt, it says pain is a mindset because it's all a mindset. And that was where I'm like, we got more in this tank. Let's figure this heart shit out. We'll go from here, but we got to get this settled, and then we'll go from here. But yeah, I just own yourself. Just repeated that to myself that day.
So you get kind of back on track, and you end up going to Missouri.
Yeah, St. Louis,
and that's to get your degree in what, nutrition? Yeah.
So the actual degree is called Applied Nutrition and Dietetics. So I have a master's in that, but I had to go do clinical rotations. So to be a dietitian, it is a medical. You become a licensed medical practitioner. It's a different type of medicine. You have nurses, you have doctors, you have dietitians. They all fall under that scope, and so you have to do rotations, just like a nurse, a doctor.
My daughter went to college. My middle daughter went to college, and she did nutrition science. And some of her friends carried on to become diet. So I kind of watched her friends go through that cycle of doing the working in the hospital and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. So
So that's what you were doing.
Yeah. So I was in Missouri, and that was a time. It's funny. I was actually in a worse mental place there than I was in Ogden, but I just understood where I was, and I knew that the pain is temporary. The pain is mindset. Like, this is where that whole mantra started to exist, that come to be, that pain is a mindset. It's all temporary. And it sucked. Missouri is a hellhole. St. Louis is terrible. Most of my rotations were in like north of Ferguson. I mean, we all know the Ferguson riots.
Yeah.
This is where most of my rotations were. So we're in literally the most dangerous place in America. That it jumps between 1 and 3 at this point. But when we were there, for 3 years straight, it was number 1. So I not only have that stress for myself, but I also brought my wife here with me. Oof. I didn't want to bring her. Obviously, I wanted to bring her, but like I didn't want to bring her to St. Louis. Like, I don't want to put her in this situation. And so I had a lot going through my head. And so ultra running was my escape, where it was like, let's go run an ultra. Let's go do this. Like, whatever. Like, I ditched a couple of my rotations where I called in sick, and I went and ran ultras, just like on a Tuesday.
Just by yourself?
Yeah. one of the times I was running with someone who was running across America. Another time was also with someone running across America. That I would just go run by myself. There was one day I just worked like 60 hours that week, and I'm sitting there. It's Friday. It's like 10 p.m. I'm like, fuck you, man. I said this to myself. I'm like, you're such a bitch. I packed a lunchbox, woke up at 5 a.m. and I went and ran a 50K around the park just because I needed to feel something. I just had, and this is where like this like other side of the ultra run, because I was just doing it. I wasn't signing up for races. I was just going to the park running a 50K. I ran, this is when and this also is at this time, I was actually planning on running across America. And it was something that had been on my mind for a couple of years, but it's like, there needs to be a bigger purpose, not just for the sake of the running of like, I need a better why to get me out of bed. I need to have, this is already a selfish endeavor. So there needs to be a bigger purpose, and it needs to be something I'm genuinely passionate about. I can't just be like, well, I'm going to go run for cancer because, cancer is a problem. It needed to be something that came from like the heart. And so I was like, if it comes, great. We're going to cross America. We'll do the thing. If not, whatever. But there has to be a genuine purpose to what I'm doing. And then one day popped into my head, I'm going to run for single parents. This is my life. My life stems from that. And there's so many single parents that did not have what we had and are doing it alone. So I'm like, I'm going to run for single parents. So I found an organization. They just happened to be in Utah. And I kind of kicked off this project to run from Seattle to Miami, but I knew some things needed to happen. I knew I needed to practice. So run across Utah fell into the project. I wanted to kick off the project with something. So I did 24 hours around a track, and I did that while I was in school. I actually flew back home, did this 24 hours around a track, flew back, continued. It was just running these random ultras at the park and just like down the road or whatever when I was out there.
How far did you run in 24 hours around the track?
I only made it 70. I had some pretty serious stomach problems. I overconsumed electrolytes because the temperature flipped on me. It was just it was an uncontrolled variable. Shit happens. It's an ultra marathon. Still made it 70, but I should have been able to clear 100. And
how long were you out in Missouri for?
A year.
Okay.
We were in it. We got there,
got it
and
done,
we
got
left.
out.
Like it was. We bought a house because we were like, we can buy a house. They're cheap. We can turn it into a rental property. And we said, nope. We lost $5,000 on the house and said, we're get us the hell out of here.
We out.
We bought an RV actually because it was $6,000 to move back home. And so we're like, fuck it. So we went and bought an RV for $10,000, put all of our stuff in it, drove back to Utah, dropped our stuff off in a storage unit, and then went and lived on the California coast for 4 months after in our RV. It was amazing. It was like some of the best months of my life.
You get some good running in on the California coast.
It's amazing. Yeah, we drove from just north of the San Francisco Bay all the way to Oregon, and just like stayed in different places over a couple of months on the way there.
California.
Yeah.
Somebody hit me up on social media the other day and said, when are you going to move to Texas or Florida and get out of the failing state of California?
I love California.
And I wrote, I'm not leaving. We're going to fight for it.
Oh yeah.
We're going to try and keep it real out here in California.
I love it. Northern California. I honestly think California should be, this is a whole separate discussion, but I think California should be split into two states because Northern and Southern California are completely different places.
Well, it's pretty awesome that they're one big giant state, and they not only have, you have the coast, you have the Pacific Ocean, you have the desert, incredible.
You have the redwoods.
You have the redwoods. You got Yosemite.
Unbelievable. Sierra Nevadas,
You've got the Sierra Nevadas, which is incredible, like Lake Tahoe. It's just, it's
wonderful.
It's an epic place. And yeah, we got some interesting things to deal with that we'll sort out. Yeah. But I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. They
my wife and I might move here.
They want me to leave, right? They're trying to put pressure. They want you to leave, but I'm staying. We're going to fight it out.
I'm not fucking leaving.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, the Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, the Wolf of Wall Street.
What were we? I forgot what losing there.
Well, because you went and lived in your RV on the California coast and got some good runs in.
Yeah, got some beautiful runs in. It was amazing. It was a good time to just decompress. So much of my life, and shout out to my wife. I mean,
when did you guys get married?
We got married in 2018. We were young.
Oh, okay.
We were young. We were 20.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we were young.
So this was during college?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, it was honestly like we'd lived together for some time, and we were just like, we can get a fat tax return if we get married. So we got, that was the tipping. We were going to get married, but it was just like, you can get the taxes. Why not? So yeah, we got married in 2018. But I forgot what we were talking about.
So then you did the trip to California.
Oh, yeah.
You're running beautiful runs in California. And it was just a time to decompress because this is what I was going to talk about. Again, the shout out to my wife for just being along for this ride, because at any point she could have just been like, dude, you're insane. I'm out of here. She could have. And I would have never held it against her, because there's always been that part of me. It's like, just like, almost like, just wait. Like we're gonna get there. Normal stuff will happen.
Yes, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. Like I had my shit that I dealt with. It's not like I just magically got better. Now there was no abuse, none of that. But like, I mean, I was an angry guy. I had, I would have these outbursts, not towards her, but just like in general in the house. That's not healthy to be around. And I had issues. And
what would make you mad?
Stupid shit, man. Mm-hmm. I'd stub my toe and I'd throw something at the wall, or stupid things, just like unprocessed trauma that just led to stupid behaviors. And I love my wife. She is my world and my light. So never ever was any of it towards her. Even if like something she did upset me, that was the one thing that for some reason never triggered something. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I had my issues, and I was just like, just wait till I promise when school's over, like I'm going to make it, it'll be better. And like, there was always like this, and she stuck around. I don't know why she stuck around. Thank God she did, because she is my life. But we did it to kind of decompress, and we both just went through hell. We watched people get shot in Missouri. Like it was a war zone there. Genuinely, so much gang violence. So we're looking at it. It was a war zone in St. Louis. Gunshots constantly. You're constantly on edge, because you don't know. You piss off the wrong person at the grocery store, you're going to get shot. We just needed this time to decompress. And it's not an I'm right, but it was like, I knew there was a light at the end of the tunnel, and we just had to get to the end of this path, and that light was there.
So what was your plan for like financial life after you got done with college?
So it was building my private practice, where I was in the process of, I actually started building my gym while I was in Missouri, in Utah. We started the whole process of that. I have my partners in that. And social media as well. Like I've started to build something with social media. That's why I'm sitting here with you guys right now. And there's that side of it. And then I also own demolition subcontracting company as well. Sure. And so, building all of this, and that was also something, again, shout out to my wife for just like understanding that just because we graduated school does not mean that all of a sudden everything is fine and dandy. Like there's, and she's also building her own. So she's building her private practice. She's a therapist, and we found a really good flow, and shit's great now. And it was great then. I look back and it's always been great. It's just, it's the perspective shift that we talked about. But at this point now, it's, I run across America is still priority. This is like, I want to do this. I understood the social media side of things. It's like, if I want this to be possible, if I want to be a professional athlete, if I want to, to make a career out of this, social media's got to be a part of this. So I start getting into the whole social media side of things. And I'm like, okay, now I need to do something that will get me ready to run across America. Let's start prepping to run across Utah. So I started that training in California. Best way to train. So I did, the first half of that training block, living out of the RV, great mental training, because my wife is a therapist. There's HIPAA. We're living in a 50 square foot RV with 2 dogs. I can't be there when she's doing therapy. So I would basically just go run all day and just go do stuff. Cause I'm like, I have no job. I have a couple, I've picked up a couple clients at this point, but I basically have no job. So I was just like running and training for this race. We moved back to Utah in November. I kept training and went and ran across the state of Utah April of last year. And run across America is not actually going to happen, but because of what I discovered running across Utah, I was just like, I don't actually think I want to run across America now. It's a logistical nightmare, dude. But
one of my buddies did it, Rob Jones.
Yeah.
Rob Jones. And he is a double above the knee amputee.
Wow.
And he ran across America like a badass.
That's unbelievable. How long did it take him?
I forget the actual time, but it was not crazy. Like, I mean, he was running massive amounts. He was impressive. Oh no, sorry, he biked across America.
He biked across America.
He biked across America,
but he did insane.
But he did 31 marathons in 31 days.
In 31
in different cities in America.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's unbelievable. Oh no, okay, I do know who this is.
Yeah, Rob Jones.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he biked across America, which was a total gut check. And again, he's above the knee amputee. Like, it's crazy. And he's not on a hand bike. He's on a bike.
How do you do that? That's insane.
Yeah, it's freaking because he's just like
built different.
Yeah, he's just a mentally toughest dude. And then and he ran 31 marathons in 31 days. So you do this, and you've got a documentary on YouTube. It's called Worn Legs.
Yep. And the title of the book that will be coming out.
Okay,
shortly, yeah.
check. 421 miles, and I watched the documentary. It's a problem, dude. Like it's rough.
Yeah.
I've done things in my life where I was really, really hurting, and you have that moment where you have to keep going, but you've taken a break of some kind. And when you get back up to get back into it, there's that moment where your mind hasn't shut off the pain yet. And it's usually like 4 minutes, like literally standing up, getting your shoes on or doing whatever you got to do. And you're in such agony, and you just have to push through that. Am I?
Oh, you're nailing it on the head.
Like this is what I kept seeing. Like each day, I was like, "Oh, there it is again." Oh, he doesn't want to get up. Oh, that hurts, doesn't it? And it's funny. Each day you kind of spray paint a mark on the ground of where you were, like a line. Hey, this was day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6. Like starting like day 6 or day 7, the little you're just like so hurting even when you bend down to spray paint. I'm like, oh, he does not want to be doing this, but not wanting to do it has nothing to do with actually doing it.
And that's why I do push-ups.
Yeah, you do push-ups every day at the end.
Every day, and same thing with 1,000. Every day, 10 push-ups. You can always do a little bit more. You can always go a little bit further. That was the whole premise. The day might be over. It's not over. I might have to go to bed, but it's not over. Yeah. We're going to do 10 push-ups.
Yeah. Day 6 of that run, you're like you can't, I'm watching the video. You can't put any weight on your ankle.
No, you saw how swollen it was.
Yeah. It's just total disaster. So you just tape it up. Just tape it up day 7.
Yeah. Well, that's where the never make a decision in the dark. That's where that saying essentially came from. My buddy, he is a badass. He is kind of an unknown ultra runner. He's beat Goggins. He's beat McKnight. He's beat these guys in their prime in these 200-mile races. This is back in the day, and he's badass. Nate Williams. He is I have my list of people who have inspired me to do these things. You, David Goggins, Nate is on this list. A couple of other people who fall on that list, and he was there. They came and ran like roughly 2 days with me. It was like a day and a half, and he's there. He's the one that when they picked me up and drove me 20 feet because I couldn't hobble back to the van. That was him. He's the one that drove me over, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this, man. Like none of this is on video, and I'm like, I don't think I can do this, dude. How am I going to get up? I can't put any weight on my foot. And I'm like, I'm ready to quit. My crew actually had fully prepped to go home. They didn't do any of the prep for the next day. They prepped to go home because
they thought they had a quitter on their hands.
They just thought it was over. My leg was swollen, and Nate goes, never make a decision in the dark. That's all he had to say. And I said, let's do it again tomorrow. And I went to bed. And and I woke up and you saw the video, it fucking hurt. It hurt, but I was like, when I woke up that morning, I told myself, this is going to day 7. I told myself, you give this 100%. I don't care if you only make it 5 miles today. You cannot go home without, and this was the mindset every day. Every day I had to give 100% of whatever I had, but this day was you give 100% of everything, because you don't know if you're going home. And so it was, I went as hard as I could, given the situation I was in. This day now we've got 40 mile per hour headwinds that have started that we're running into, and it sucked and it hurt. And I set the goal. It was like, if we're going to keep going, you have to run 40 miles in your time limit, because I had a time limit because of sunsets and different things. And so there was this, basically I'm like, you give it your all, and if you only make it 5 miles, whatever. But if we get past that 5 mile point, because I was essentially giving myself 5 miles to make sure that I didn't have a broken leg, because if the bone's broken, not much you can do. Yeah. And then after that, it was like, okay, you go to 40, and then you give everything to get to that 40. And we get close to the end of the day that day, and I have 28 minutes left, and I have a 5K, and I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking make it. There's no way. I got to run a sub 10-minute mile, and I'm 280 miles in. And it's 282, I think, was the exact mileage at that point, or 281. Whatever.
So what's driving the cutoff time?
Sunset.
But is that like a safety protocol?
Yes, because I'm running on state highways.
Because there's no rules. Is there rules?
No, there's no rules, but I'm running on state highways. If it's dark, I got hit by a car.
Yeah.
I got hit by a car on day 3, 4, whatever it was. And that was in the middle of the day. It was broad daylight. So if it's nighttime, like there's no way. So we had this cutoff just for safety reasons. And so I had 28 minutes left before, sunset, and I have a 5K, and I just said, fuck it. I said I was going to give 100%. We're going. So I had poles, because I had to take the body weight off. I knew the poles were going to slow me down. So I clicked them up. I just went full send. I ran as hard as I could. And my crew, they'd stop every mile or mile and a half and give me water. And I just blasted past the van, and they're like, what the, and followed me. And I just put my hand out. They handed me the water. I drank it. I threw it back in the van. All this is happening while I'm running, because I'm like, I'm not stopping. I have 28 minutes. I'm hitting this. I told myself, we're doing this in the 13-hour limit. You're not stopping. And so I just kept going, and I kept going, and ended up being 24 minutes. 24 minutes. It was an absolute burner at 280 miles in. And we just, you see it in the documentary, and I've posted about it a couple of times on social media. It was silent. You just hear my cameraman in the video. From my cameraman, because my cameraman chased me for a half mile, but he was struggling to keep up, because these guys know. These guys know, they know from the 1,000 miles, they're just this switch flipped. And I just stood there and just stared off into the sunset, into the road, and was just holy, it just soaked it in of what. And it was another one of those moments in life. It's again, there's so much in the tank always. And I was like, all right, we're going to finish this shit. There's nothing that can stop me. If I can do this, there's nothing that can stop me. And we just we drove home. We drove to the campsite in silence, just in the van, because we all were just holy shit, what just happened? It was epic. Yeah.
Yeah. The documentary is great. And it's probably 45 minutes long or something like that.
It's 53 or something.
Yeah, it's not like a 2-hour documentary, but it's badass, man. I was watching it again. I've done things that have required a lot of physical exertion before, and I remember just going, "Oh yeah, here it is again. Here it is again. Here it is again. Here it is again." Yeah, over and over again, until you get it done with the fastest known time.
Yeah, it did get broken.
By one of your buddies, right?
Yeah, my buddy Adam Burns, shout out. Adam and I are really good friends now, and I helped him with his run. Records are meant to be broken, and I wanted to help him break it.
How much did he beat it by?
was it 7 hours, 11 hours? Barely. Barely. It was a close one. I think if I had run it a day faster, I still think he would have broke it. I think he had gas in the tank.
He had a number.
Yes, he was like, "Hey, I just have to do this, and I'll break it." And I think he had more gas in the tank. I think he could have done it a little bit faster. But it's that mind. Like you can very much set those limitations on your mind, and like your mind will stop you. It's pretty crazy. But
what made you? You mentioned that during that run, you kind of figured out you didn't want to run across America.
Yeah, it was just the logistics of. They're tough, man. The logistics of these runs are tough. It's no joke. There's planning the route, knowing where the campsites are. Running across America, you got to know where laundromats are. You got to know where grocery stores are. You have to know how to refuel, restock, all of this the whole way across America. Not just a state. We're talking 13 states, and it's places I've never been before. And for the most part, it's the middle of nowhere for 90% of the run. You cross through a couple of cities, and you try to avoid the cities because of traffic. And so you got to the logistics of it are just such a nightmare. I'm like, I don't want to do that.
If someone was like, "Hey, I got the logistics."
This is where I'm at now. Now that I've done what I've done, I don't want to be away from my wife that long. The 1,000 miles was, it was long, and I was home. It was just 20 minutes up the road, and I only saw my wife 3 times, and it was very difficult. So there's that. I don't want to be away from my wife. Someone would have to pay me a pretty significant amount of money, and the logistics would need to be what I would basically do. There's a buddy of mine. His name is Rob. Crew Chief Rob is like his thing. He's done a couple of runs across America. The relay? I don't know if any of you have seen the relay across America that's happening right now.
I haven't seen it.
Wyatt Moss is another running influencer. He put together this relay to celebrate 250 years. It's a run across America.
Oh, yeah.
And there's like 1,000 people across like the entire country where people have like signed up for segments, and Rob is doing the crew chief for this whole thing. So I would essentially pay Rob to do it for me. And then again, someone would need to pay me. That's the only way I'm going to do it. Is that I would need to get paid so that my wife could be there, not need to work. And then I would do it.
Did you enjoy the running part of it? Or at a certain point, are you like, "Hey, I can't feel my legs, and I don't think this is healthy"?
When you're doing it, when you set the goal to do these things, you understand what you're getting into. You understand there's, and we can talk about it now, but like when I was getting ready for the 1,000 miles, my mindset, I would sit down and I would do manifestation and visualization, and I would visualize myself running in circles and crossing the finish line, and I would manifest success. But part of that manifestation, I would repeat to myself, nothing will stop you. If this is the last thing you do, this is the last thing you do. Permanent injury will not be the reason that you quit. I would repeat that to myself because I knew that was my only out, was going to be the thought of, well, this is doing permanent damage. I can't do this to myself. So I knew that I had to tell myself on repeat, if this is the last thing I do, this is the last thing I do. And you kind of have to have that mindset with this type of stuff. So
because any little discomfort can be in your mind manufactured into permanently disabling yourself.
Yeah.
And there's obviously a chance that you really could.
Yes, exactly. And so you kind of have to have that mindset. So there's a couple of things in it with that, but it's, again, the run across America, it basically need to be almost just because it's the logistics. The running, I'll do it. Mm-hmm. I'll do the running. It's the logistics. It's such a nightmare planning. I mean, this 1,000 miles, dude, I didn't even have a track until the Friday before because it was so hard to find a track to do this on. It's just these logistics are a nightmare when it comes to doing this stuff. And so it's just something that's like, I love doing hard things, but I am done planning logistics for these runs. They take so much of my time and energy.
So then what point did you decide you're going to do the 1,000 miles, and why the 1,000 miles around a track?
So running across Utah, I realized I don't want to run across America. And so I didn't know what I was going to do next. Trying to figure out just what's next. What's the next big thing I'm going to do? And I actually was planning a run across the UK, John O'Groats to Land's End, 1,100 miles. Had it all ready to go. I had the route. I was ready to go. I was kind of thinking like, oh, I have an opportunity to explore the world a little bit with this. We can go run across Italy, run across the UK, like these shorter distances. My wife gets to go to Italy. My wife gets to travel the world with me. She gets to explore the world while I get to run. Mm-hmm. It's like, what a life, And so I'm planning this run. I'm like, I can run 1,100 miles. I can run across the UK. I can run 45 miles a day. I did 42 running across Utah, and my training was a mess for that run. I was super injured going through training. I had to swim for a month. Yeah. I swam to train to run across Utah. Like that's ridiculous. So like, there's those things that I knew I could have run, and there's limitations because of Parliament and different things running across the UK. So there's some legal things, and I just didn't want to jump through those hoops. So I was just like, it was my 45 miles a day, and I was like, I can do that. I want to do something I can't do, because I want something that I can fail. I don't want something because I don't want something I know I can do. That's not the point. I want something that when I set out for this, there's the very realistic possibility that I never cross the finish line. And so I was like, well, I want to run 1,000 miles. And so I was like, a track. Who in their right mind would do that shit? Sure enough, there's only been 2 other people who were dumb enough to do it. And to get 2 other people who did almost died. And Ned Brockman's, even I was messaging him, like he is a dog. Like he was not okay. He still, to this day, says he still has problems. And so, but I don't know why, I wanted that. I wanted to prove that I can accomplish that not myself. I wanted to prove to others that you can accomplish impossible things. It's all here. It's all in your head. It's all something that if you set those limitations, then you're not going to get there. Mm-hmm. And you can truly accomplish things that are genuinely impossible. And that's why I picked it, because I wanted to do something that I would fail. I would have to dedicate so much time and energy and effort and a whole piece of myself towards something that might amount to nothing.
How much, when you're looking at doing 1,000 miles, if I said to you, all right, I want you to do 1,000 miles, but I want you to do it in a really healthy way, and I don't care really how long it takes. Would you run like 18 miles a day, 20 miles a day, 22 miles a day? And what drives you to say, hey, I got to do it? You end up doing it in 18 days? Mm-hmm. What is the goal? What is the bar set at that you say, hey, I'm going to do 45 miles a day?
I'm going to give it 100%.
So that's like max. That's like in the red.
Yeah.
You're 45 miles a day is in the red.
Well, so I was doing 54 a day out there.
54 a day is that's in the red. That's
pretty much. And it was, this was something that was really interesting about this run in particular is my original goal was 66 a day. I actually think I could have done it, but I had some pretty severe nerve damage really early on that physically prevented me from moving fast enough. And maybe it was something I needed to learn. Maybe I could have, you never know. But for me, that was my max effort. That was my max effort, was that 54 a day. Mm-hmm. And so that was the whole point, was we're going max effort. We're going all out. It wasn't like, I'm not here to pussyfoot around. I'm not here to go through the motions. I'm here to do something that feels and sounds and is impossible, to not just represent single parents and their choice to not get to quit every day. And when I wake up in the morning and I'm in agonizing, excruciating pain, so are they. So I still got to get up and I got to go run my miles. And then also just, again, it's that factor of how far can I actually push? Because again, I know I can run 20 miles a day. I know I can run a marathon a day. I know I can run 45 miles a day. And I know I can run through a beautiful country. But what about running in a circle? The mountains were beautiful, right there against the track, and it was a beautiful track, but I also saw the same thing 4,000 times or whatever it was, like good old lane 8, so it was a little less than 4,000 because it was lane 8. But
when you're prepping, how many miles a week were you doing in prep?
So my training's a little bit different because of how much I weigh. I'm not Matt Johnson. I'm not these guys who are, $140, $150. I can't run 130, 140 miles a week. So I did a 100-mile week, and then the rest were 70s and 80s. And then a lot of, lifting. Building durability versus volume was my approach, because I understood if I go for the volume in training, I'm going to end up costing myself in the run. So we're going to focus on building durability so that I can then put on volume in the actual run. Mm-hmm. That was the approach.
Have you ever seen, there's a show on TV, I think it's called Alone. And it's people that go out, they get dropped off alone in the wilderness and they just have to survive. Have you ever heard of this program?
Uh-huh.
Well, one of the things that's happened in this program is like people just try and bulk up with fat. They try and get as fat as they can, because essentially what the contest becomes in many cases is just a starvation contest. Yep. And so you're just like, you eat as much as you can, you get out there. You're not really preparing for what you're going to do out there. You're just getting as fat as you possibly can. So it seems like for you, being 200 plus pounds in preparation, you can't break yourself before you enter the race.
Exactly.
You kind of are doing like, every day is going to cause wear and tear. That's eventually going to stop you from running.
Yep.
I mean, eventually you're going to get there. So you have to try and enter this thing with as much conditioning as possible, but also as healthy as you possibly can.
Yes. Yeah, that was a huge approach, and it was actually interesting. So I actually try and put on weight is what I try and do for these runs. I got to give a huge shout out to Muscle Drive right now. That is sponsored but not sponsored, but like kind of sponsored.
Jocko Fuel Muscle Drive, yes.
Yeah, Jocko Fuel Muscle Drive. I did 10 grams of creatine and Muscle Drive, the 2 scoops.
Yeah.
Every day. During this training block, I gained about 5 pounds.
That's awesome.
But I lost 3% body fat.
That's Muscle Drive all day.
And I ran 1,200 miles in 5.5 months.
Yeah, that's sick.
And I put on about a couple pounds of muscle.
The Muscle Drive has been, we designed it with fighters in mind that are cutting weight. Also, there's a lot of people right now that are taking, what are those drugs called?
GLP-1s.
Peptides.
No, GLP-1. Is that a peptide? Is GLP-1
yeah, it is a peptide.
Okay. That stuff that's making people skinny, right? But it also, when they get skinny, they're losing a lot of muscle mass, which is obviously horrible.
Yep.
And so that in mind, and now like someone like you who's trying to maintain their muscle mass as they're doing something, this is the same thing with like fasting. Actually, one of the names that was proposed for Muscle Drive was Muscle Fast. And I actually like that more. But anyways, because a lot of people, myself included, like I fast sometimes. And when you fast, you're going to eventually, after a day or two, you're going to start losing some muscle mass. But if that's really protective, that's what we designed it for.
Gluconeogenesis.
Yes.
That's the fancy term for muscle converted to glucose.
We like that.
Yeah,
we don't like that, but we like the scientific terms.
Yeah. and just the stress. Like when you're putting the muscle under that much stress, we talked about this, the HMB and the Muscle Drive and everything, and how that, is just great for preserving that muscle when you're just demanding so much from it.
Got to have the dileucine too.
100%.
Yeah.
So you're actually gaining weight and you're trying to condition yourself and be as healthy as possible going into it.
Yes.
So you said 70-mile weeks?
Yeah, 70, 80, kind of jumping back and forth. I had one little blip of an injury, very normal in these things, where I dropped out, but I just went right back up. It was a week off.
I've trained a lot of jiu-jitsu in my life. I don't think I've ever been more nervous training jiu-jitsu with someone than I was when I trained with you. Because here you were, I don't know, a few weeks away from starting the 1,000 miles. And these guys are like, oh, we're going to bring Mason in. He's going to, he's running 1,000 miles. I'm like, oh yeah, I know. I'm like, you want to train jiu-jitsu with him? And I go, and I figured we'll talk through some moves and, I'll show you a couple moves. And of course, Kerry's like, hey, he's trying to be all cool about it. He's always using the leadership techniques from Echelon Front. One of which is the indirect approach. And he's all like, hey, you think you might want to, just get a couple live rounds. And I was kind of like, not really, but I'll show him some moves. He's like, hey, it'd look really good if you did just went live a couple times. And the whole time I'm thinking, bro, like, all I need to do is just some weird movement, or you do some weird movement and you hurt your ankle, hurt your knee, hurt whatever, and I'm going to feel so bad. So I was so nervous but I did do it because Carrie's like, it really would look good. We really want to see people. And I'm like, okay, fine. So
I had zero regard for Mason's.
I was so freaking nervous.
I knew I was going to be fine.
Yeah,
I knew I was going to be fine. I know I'm a durable guy.
100%. That wrestling
I'm
background.
not built
too.
like you, but I'm a durable guy.
Yeah, but gosh, all it takes is one little
It's true.
slip, and
ligaments are only so strong.
So I was nervous, but
dude, I had fun with that. That was a lot.
Yeah,
of fun.
it was definitely fun and good times. Yeah. But I'm glad that you didn't get hurt.
Yeah. You kicked my ass, but
yeah, I mean, I trained jiu-jitsu. We didn't, if we did a running contest, I don't think I would fare too well in that. And we did talk about focusing on, hey, sometimes you focus on the long term, and sometimes you got to focus on what's right in front of you.
I have talked about front sight focus with not just during the run, but with so many people now. I use that. I'm like, one time I got to sit down with Jocko and we talked about front sight focus and I love that analogy of, sometimes that object in the distance gets blurry and you have to focus on your front sight. And then when that gets blurry, you got to focus back in the distance. And I love it. And it was so helpful in these 1,000 miles because it's true. Like I was talking with these guys earlier, what did it feel like after that first lap? Well, I wasn't worried about the 1,000. I was worried about the next lap. I was worried about getting to the first marathon. I was worried about finishing the first day. That's what it was, and then sometimes you do have to think about the 1,000 and it's that back and forth. And I was thinking about that the whole time. It helped that huge.
Well, that's good to hear.
Huge.
Good to hear.
Life changing.
And you got the new, speaking of Jocko Fuel, got the new endurance product that we got coming. We got you the advanced copy. Yeah. And I loved it because as soon as you
secret black bags.
Yeah. As soon as you looked at the ingredients, because you're a nutrition scientist and all that, you were like, oh, this is freaking good to go.
Yeah.
So super stoked that worked out well.
It really helped. I had some digestive issues that because of day one, it was 100 degrees. I couldn't heat train because it was just winter, and I was able to. I had some very severe I had some very severe stomach problems, and so I actually on day 2 had to completely overhaul my nutrition strategy that I had been training, because you have to train your nutrition. You don't just train. You don't just train for the one thing. You train your nutrition as well as the running, and so I spent months training my nutrition, and it's like, oh, day 1. Out the window. So I had to completely overhaul overnight of what we were going to do. And I had a chef. This guy was amazing. He came and cooked all my meals for me. I'm like, hey, we need to, so I'm a snacker when I run. I like to eat throughout the day. And I go, okay, we're going to do big meals 6 times a day. 6 meals a day, or 6 to 8.
How many calories are you taking in a day?
10 to 15,000.
Nice.
Yeah. It was a lot. The first day I was in a 7,500 calorie deficit.
Dang.
Yeah, it was really rough. I was in a hole, and so I was like, I know I've got to fix this, because if we go another day like this, I'm screwed. It's over. You can do impossible things, but you can also very much your body can just say no.
Yeah, there's impossible things, and then there's the laws of physics.
Yes,
and
exactly.
But this is kind of, if you ever hear me say this, like, hey, you can't break the laws of physics. Whatever we're talking about is not possible.
Yeah.
Like, and if you can't break the laws of physics. You can't do it.
No.
You can do all kinds. Human beings can do all kinds of things, except for change the laws of physics.
Exactly. So yeah, but I had to completely overhaul my nutrition strategy. I'm still just constantly having stomach issues. And, I had a limited supply of this stuff. It was, we were just like doing some testing on it and flavor and different things. But it ended up becoming, for a couple of those days, it actually became a huge part of it. It helped me a ton reset my stomach, because it just, I got the carbs, I got the electrolytes, I got what I needed.
Clutch.
It was a game changer there for a couple of days. And then I saved 1 pack so that I could have it towards the end in case anything went wrong later on. Because I only had a couple bags. But no, it was a game changer. And again, I was having so many completely uncontrolled variables. Mm-hmm. Again, control your controllables. Sometimes most of what's going to get thrown at you is going to be uncontrollable. And this was just one of those things. And so I took the few things that I can control, changing what I was doing, implementing little things like this new product that's coming out. And yeah, it was big.
So what physically is happening to you? This is 18 days, 13 hours, and 11 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're acquiring injuries as you go.
I like the term acquiring.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, you're acquiring injuries.
I'm earning them.
And they're like I said, like little nagging pain eventually becomes a legitimate pain, which eventually becomes an injury, and then that injury just escalates. So what were you dealing with as far as acquiring injuries as you did this?
Yeah, so out the gate, my shoes just failed. I don't know what happened. I don't know why my shoes failed. I've been running in these shoes for years. Not the same pair, obviously, but like the same style of shoe. And I don't say what shoe it is because they're a great company. They make great shoes. I don't want people to think they're bad shoes. It just was an unfortunate. I think I maybe got a bad pair from manufacturing. I don't know. Mm-hmm. This is an extreme event. Not every, you never know what's going to happen. So I ended up destroying my feet on day one. And
did you not? How many pairs of shoes did you have?
I had 6 pairs with me, but I had to scrap them all. They were all the same.
Oh.
And so day one, my shoes fail.
How does a shoe fail?
I don't know.
Okay.
Basically, but you're saying like blow out the.
Yeah. So basically what it was is it felt like the padding just disappeared, and I was just running on the ground. I don't know why it happened. I don't know how it happened. I don't know if I got a bad pair. Either way, I did very severe nerve damage to my feet.
Day one.
Day one. Yep, day one. And so I'm now trying to navigate this. I had another pair that was a little bit more cushioned. They were old, but I brought them just in case. It's like an emergency. Well, we had an emergency on day one. So day two, I put these shoes on and I'm just in so much pain. Excruciating. I could feel foot pain in my quad. Unless you've experienced it, that's the best way I can explain it. I had pain so severe.
And you had trained with these shoes. Mm-hmm. So this was just a shocker.
Yeah, there's so much happened on day one. We had extreme heat that I couldn't train for. We had stomach issues because of the extreme heat, which you just deal with. But, now I'm in a 7,500 calorie deficit. My shoes have failed on me that I've been training in for months. It felt like on day one, everything was over. So I'm just like, what the hell? Day one, where do we go from here? What do we do? Like, how do I navigate all of these variables at the exact, because you can't take one at a time. You have to attack all of them at the exact same time. You know this. Mm-hmm. Different type of attack, but you know this. You have to attack all of these things at the exact same time. You can't take them one by one, or else everything else will fall apart. And so we're tackling all this at the same time, trying to figure out shoes. I get through, I'm like, okay, maybe these shoes will work. Maybe it's just like, because these, you have weird pains that pop up. So I'm like, maybe it's just, I just got to get through the second day. So let's use these shoes, get through the second day. The company that sent me the other shoes, they sent me more of the shoes, these cushion shoes. I'm like, okay, maybe these will work. Day 3, I wake up, it's even worse than it was the day before. And I'm in so much pain. I'm crying a good chunk of the day. And the nerve pain, I've never in my life experienced pain this extreme. I don't know how I can experience more pain, to be completely honest. I feel like the next level is like near death, pretty much, or death, which I guess there's no pain with that. But like there's really, I don't know how you could genuinely experience more than it was pain so extreme that pain in my feet was radiating into other parts of my body, like from like nerve sensations. I mean, it was because it's nerve pain.
And this is only day 3.
This is day 3. So I'm at mile 45 on day 3, and I'm Jeffrey. I have a video. Jeffrey just like held the phone like this at his hip. This is my crew chief, and just recorded me just like crying. I was like, I can't fucking do this, man. Like, what are we gonna do? And he's like, dude, it's fine. Like, just keep moving. You know what you're doing. You've done this before. Like, he's very soft. He's very soft spoken. He's very kind. A very different approach than, which is interesting for me, because I am a very you would be a great crew chief for me. Just very direct, very do the shit. But for some reason, coming from Jeffrey, it works, and he's just like, just go. Just keep moving. You got 5 miles left today. You can go for 5 miles. Like, suck it up. Go. We got 5 miles. I'll walk with you. And still just bawling my eyes out. I call my buddy. He does shoe reviews. So it's like his social media thing. And I'm like, this is the only person I know that can help me. So I call Eric, he's like at dinner with his family. And he's like, oh, hey, man, what's up? I'm like, I need help, man. I'm just like bawling my eyes out. And he's like, oh, just so caught off guard. I'm like, I need the max cushion. I need the shoe with the most cushion. What is it? He's like, well, there's two shoes. There's like the Asics Superflies or the Brooks Glycerin Max 2s, which I actually have on my feet right now. And he's like, the ones have plates. The Brooks don't. He's like, I would go with the Brooks unless you want a plate, like a carbon fiber plate they put in shoes. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to find these Glycerin Max 2s, brand new shoes, like just came out. And we find, I need because my feet are swelling now. You know, your feet swell when you do these things. So I now need a size 15, already hard to find. Thank God they make 15s in these shoes. We find one pair in the state of Utah at the Shields in Sandy.
Oh yeah, Shields. Shout out.
Oh,
yeah.
Jocko fuel all day.
Yeah. I call my wife. Again, still crying. I cried for like 4 hours straight. And I'm like, I need you to go to Shields. I need you to get these shoes. And I'm going to have Max, who's my chef, meet you in Salt Lake. And he's going to bring me the shoes tomorrow. So she, minutes before they close, gets there, gets the shoes, meets my chef. He gets the shoes, he brings them the next morning. And then we ordered, Brooks ended up actually sending me a pair, like, thank you guys. They sent me a pair, Salt Lake Running Company, which is a local running store. They sent me a pair of shoes. And then we also bought a couple of pairs of shoes, spent $750 in shoes like that. And because they're expensive shoes. But they saved the day. And I was able to run in these. You guys now have a pair in the office.
No break-in period for these shoes. You just get in them and go.
Just get in them and go. I have insoles. I have high arches, so I'd put my insoles in. I mean, at this point, it's like, how it can't get any
Nothing
worse.
to lose,
yeah, there's not like worst cases is ends because so it's like I've got to do everything in my power to make this happen. So it's like we're just going to put on the shoes and go. See what happens. And I ended up obviously working out. But it was a rough couple of days. Just like there was so much unknown. I didn't know if I was going to get the shoes. I didn't know. And then none of the shoes that got delivered, all of it got delayed because we had a massive storm, the third largest rainstorm in the last 25 years. So all the shoes got delayed. So this is day 7 or whatever. And all the shoes are delayed. I have one singular pair of shoes running with trench foot. My foot split open because it was raining so much. I can't change my shoes because I have one pair. They already have 250 or 270 miles on them. I need another pair of shoes. It was a rough week. That first week was hell because so much went wrong. And it made it look like I didn't prepare for this run. It really did. Like from an outside perspective, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these guys came back and were like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Who is this guy? Like, what does he think he's going to do this? And I get why a lot of people, you guys were some of the only people who believed in me from day one. I couldn't tell you the amount of brands, people, whatever,
tracks.
That straight up tracks. Yes, I had track facilities tell me we don't want to be associated with you failing. I had brands tell me they didn't want to be associated with a failure.
Damn.
Like I had people tell me this, and I mean, it just gave me fuel of the fire. But from an outside perspective, especially in that first week, I can totally understand why someone would say that because I looked like a mess.
Were you able to recover it all? Like once you got the shoes that were working well, did you feel recovery or did you just steady state of pain? But it didn't get worse.
It got worse.
Check.
Yeah. So this is where things get really interesting with these runs. Is the pain did get worse. It doesn't get better. It's not going to get better until you stop. It's just like if you hurt yourself, you got to stop. It's like you get it. We all know, plantar fasciitis. It's a really common thing. The only way to get rid of it is you stop running. It's how all of this was. And so like I had stress fractures develop at mile about 600. I had stress. So I ran about 400 miles with stress fractures.
Where were the stress fractures?
My fibula in my foot and my right leg. Sure. So I have stress fractures. The nerve pain is continuing to get worse because it's now damaging other nerves and it's going up the leg. So I'm dealing with it continue to get worse. But this is where these runs get interesting where you adapt. You all of a sudden, this switch kind of flips. And on day 9 is where this switch kind of flipped, where I'm now this pain is basically, it's there. It's getting worse, but your mind's kind of like, well, I guess we're fucking doing this. So we'll figure it out. Even though it's such an interesting feeling because you feel all of the pain, but you're able to just kind of like exist with it. It's a very interesting, unless you've done things like this, it's something that it's something that's really hard to understand unless you've experienced some sort of long-term hardship where you're physically or mentally brutalizing yourself on a daily basis. And then all of a sudden, and I'm sure you experience this, in combat with these, like it's weeks on end of stuff. And then all of a sudden there's like a day where it's not better, but it just all of a sudden is better.
It's just acceptance.
Yeah. There's a type of acceptance, but then there's also the
physical, new normal.
The physical adaptation or the mental adaptation to what's going on. It's a really interesting feeling, a really interesting experience where, again, the pain, it got worse every single day, but you just kind of figure it out and deal with it.
You've heard of the Bataan Death March before, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But one thing that's crazy when you read people that went through that is like the Japanese were just going to kill you if you stopped walking. Mm-hmm. And the thing of like, oh, you can always take another step. Well, it's like, actually, no, there's points that people get to where the guys, I've read books where the Japanese are going to kill you if you stop. And guys would just be like, I'm stopping. I can't do anymore. I can't take another step. And they would just get executed on the side of the road.
Yep.
So it's like getting to that point of where you just cannot go any further. And this guy, one book in particular I read was like, your will to live had to just be so strong that you would just not going to stop no matter what. So that's what I was kind of thinking about when you were saying, if I permanently injure myself, it doesn't matter. I'm going to keep going.
This is the last thing I do. It's the last thing I do.
It was pretty awesome too, seeing it from the outside and just getting reports from the field where like, oh, Mason only got like 25 miles, this morning or today or so, like in those early days where you were having all that trouble. And we were like, damn, dude, like he's going through it. And then about the time that switch flips for you, and we were, we weren't there for the whole run. We were there for kind of beginning and the end and stuff. But, getting those reports like, oh, no, he just clocked a 55-mile day. Oh, and another one. And another one, and we just watched it pick up steam again. It was like he's got
56, 57.
Yeah, he's going to get it. Like he's going. And it was just super awesome to watch, man. But, yeah, those early days were gnarly.
Yeah, they were. It was hell.
Yeah.
I went through hell.
Was there any moment where you said, hey, look, it's only the first day. I'm off to a bad start. Let me recover for 2 weeks and then take another crack at this?
No, absolutely not.
And that's why? Because you had all the logistics in place. This is what
quitting.
You said you were going to do.
That's quitting.
Yeah.
That's quitting. If I stopped on day one to start again, that's quitting.
Yeah.
I quit because it was hard. That's what that would have been. If at any point, unless it was weather, even then, if at any point I had to take a day off, I would have not claimed any of the claims that I've claimed.
Is that kind of the rules?
I would say so. Because
I've had rules you make up, right?
Yes, there's a kind of an unspoken rule with this, where it's essentially a continuous effort. You can't leave the track. Like there's obviously you have to sleep, so it's not continuous, but there's.
But you sleep in an RV or something?
I slept on the side of the track in a trailer. Like there's kind of that. Ned Brockman slept like in the building, like that was like attached to the track. Mm-hmm. I don't know what Giannis did, but. Like there's, you stay there. You do not leave. You live and breathe that track. I did not step foot off of that track I lived there for a month basically, or 3 weeks. Like I did not go anywhere except about 100 feet to the trailer and back. And then the 20 feet to the bathroom because I did that a lot.
So you end up raising $50,000 for the single parent project.
Yep.
You're the first American to do this challenge. You're the third person in history to do it. You just mentioned the other two gentlemen. When did they do it?
So Giannis did it in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken, and then Ned Brockman did it in 2021.
Do you know Ned?
No, we've messaged a little bit on Instagram. I messaged him, was like, hey, you have any pointers? He's like, good luck. And I'm like, no, do you have any pointers? And he was like, look, man, I'm fucked up. Like, you know, he, again, this is, I have to preface this. What happened out there, I am dealing with stuff still. I still have nerve issues that will probably take me a couple years, if not lifelong. They're minimal at this point. Mm-hmm. But like there's stuff I might permanently be dealing with for the rest of my life. My body was able to manage this because of my weight. My body was able to manage this because of how I trained. This is not something that people should go do. I have to preface this because Ned, he legitimately, his shoulder muscles literally deteriorated to the point they had to tape his arms into place because his body was eating itself alive. Like this is something that is so, because when you run across America, there's terrain changes, there's visual changes, there's different things where the body actually is experiencing change almost every step. With this, it's the same plane, it's the same direction. I did switch directions, but still all the exact same muscles. Mentally, you're in the exact same place. Mentally, it takes significantly more of a toll, and physically, despite what you'd think maybe the hills would maybe harder, you're using the exact same muscles non-stop. That never changes. It doesn't, because there's no elevation change. So at no point do you use any different muscles. So this is something that it should be taken. I've had a couple of, kids, a lot of younger men reach out to me like, I'm going to do this. I'm like, I will support you. I will be in your corner. I will help you, but I'm warning you, this is not something that should be taken lightly, because it is something that, again, I might be dealing with lifelong repercussions because of. So it's just, I have to preface this because I feel like people saw what I did and were like, and that's the whole point of this, is to, achieve those impossible things and go for those big things. But I also just want to make sure that people understand it comes at a cost. They always, and this is a big cost that might not be worth it just so you can post on Instagram or something, or flex or whatever your reason is.
So it's like 1 out of 10 do not recommend.
Honestly, yes. So kind of the thing that I've come up with out of this is find your 1,000. Find your 1,000. It doesn't legitimately have to be 1,000 miles. Mm-hmm. Find that thing in your life where you go for something. You dedicate 6 months to like 3 years of your life dedicated to one sole thing. You give every ounce of yourself, your soul, your mind, your body to this thing. With the knowledge that you will likely fail getting for that. And that I technically failed. My goal was 66 miles a day, 15 days. I technically failed my original goal.
What was Ned's?
Ned's was 13 days.
Damn, dude.
Dave fucking insane. He's a dog. Like, insane. But you dedicate all this time to this one thing. Whatever it is, it can be a business. It can be 1,000 miles around a track. It can be, you just need to find your 1,000. Find that thing that is impossible, that sounds impossible. Dedicate everything that you have to that one thing, knowing that it will likely fail and it might not work out, and that you just did all of this one time in your life. It's not a misogi. You have the misogi where you do that one big thing every year. This is one time in your life. Pick that thing that alters the fabric of your reality with the knowledge that you're probably going to fail. So that's what I think people should do. Instead of destroying your body, which maybe that's your 1,000. Right. Maybe it is 1,000 miles around a track. You have to look at your risks, pros, cons, however you want to word that. You got to look at your risk and make sure it's worth it. But then go for that thing once in your life, because it might change your life. It probably will. It's going to change your life no matter what you do. Mm-hmm. And it's going to change your life for the better, no matter if you fail or succeed. Failure is not the opposite of success. We all know this. So it's one of those things that it will change your life, and it will change your life for the better. I am a new man. I'm a new person. I feel so, again, I'm so at peace with myself. I found myself on that track. I found a version of Mason that I didn't know could ever exist. I didn't think it could exist. We talked about all the shit that I dealt with and, and all the things I went through and the mental stuff and all of it. And I did not think this version of myself could exist. And I'm a new person, and it's the best. Even if I had failed, I know that I would still be this new person because I gave everything to this goal, and it changed me. I think everybody should strive for that one thing.
Check. So where do you go from here? So that, it's to do the one thing in your life, and now you're like, okay, now I got to do something else, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it won't be as big. Do you set your sights a little bit lower now, or set your what's next?
No, so it's just there's a couple of things I have in the works. The big thing that I'm really focusing on right now is my life. People don't realize with these things, so much gets sacrificed. Time, money, energy, people. I'm giving that back. My wife, giving that time back to my wife, focusing on building my businesses to build my family, and focusing on that side of my life, taking what I've learned, taking that ultra mindset into life and applying it to these things. Doesn't mean I'm not done running, but I'm probably not going to do something this big. I don't know if I'll do something this big ever again. Just because of the financial, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual toll that it takes on everyone. It's not just me. 'Cause I'll go do it. If it didn't impact anyone else, fuck yeah, I'll go do it again. Let's run it back. But it impacts so many people. And I just don't want to put people through that again. So next thing, next year, the next big things we're going to go for is I'm going to start focusing on trying to win some 200-mile races. Still very big goals, still very big races. It's just a different animal. It's in a different realm. So that's like the next, that's my next, the next years of my life essentially that I'll dedicate as far as the sport goes. Next is in a couple of weeks, as insane as it sounds as I'm talking about nerve damage and stuff, we're going to be going for a world record to celebrate 250 years of America. I will set the world record running the most miles and laps around the Washington Monument, a 0.1 mile loop. And we're going to go set the record.
Dang. Glutton. You're glutton for punishment.
I guess.
And you mentioned something about there's a charity involved, Never Surrender USA.
Yeah, Never Surrender USA. So their whole, they invited me out, and they were invited to be a part of this big celebration that's happening over there. And their whole thing is basically promoting healthy lifestyles for young adults and especially young men, as well as promoting patriotism in America. Doesn't matter what your political party is. We can still love America, but be in different political spectrums. There's an I love this example because, LeBron takes a lot of heat for his political stance, but when he represents Team USA in the Olympics, he represents Team USA. He holds the flag. He is very patriotic in those moments. And I think that's a great example of someone who's, a little extreme on one end of the spectrum. You can still be patriotic no matter where you sit. And so that's their focus is the patriotism alongside the healthy living in young adults and young men. And they've invited me out to do this crazy thing to bring awareness to what they're doing and bring awareness that, again, you can do hard things. You can push the boundaries. You can do cool things. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's a couple of people going out. There's a guy, you guys have maybe seen, his name's Iron Sned on Instagram. He just did 100 miles on a treadmill. He did 24 hours. He did 130 miles or something like that on the treadmill. Yeah. So he's going to go see how many miles he can run in 30 hours on a treadmill. There's some dude who's going to see how many pull-ups and push-ups, 2 different guys in 24 hours. I'm going to set the world record running around the Washington Monument. So there's some cool stuff that's going to be happening. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be, and celebrate 250 years. I mean, that's not very many countries or empires, whatever you want to call it, last that long. So
check. And in the meantime, you also have your online, you do nutrition, you do coaching online, you do race fuel planning, and even a race day package.
Yeah. So I do nutrition coaching, helping you get ready for whatever races it might be, as well as life, not life coaching, but just coaching or nutrition for life and stuff. But a big focus of mine is, the endurance community, half marathon, ultra marathon, so on. Helping you just through that process, training for your fueling. But then I also help with the actual race where, I basically, especially if you're 50 miles, because below that, it's just not worth the money. Mm-hmm. I don't want to take people the money unless you're type A. This isn't something that's worth it below 50 miles, but I'll make a full spreadsheet, mile by mile, aid station by aid station, breaking down what to eat, what to pack, when to eat, how much to eat, grocery list, everything for them and their crew. So their crew can just be like, cool, here you go. They don't even have to think about it. It's just a spreadsheet that's ready to go, locked and loaded. Then I can take it a step further where you can now have a nutritionist basically on your crew. I'm crewing a dude who's running across the state of Indiana. Nice. Coming up here. His name's Marcus Wind. He's doing it in September. He's running across the entire state of Indiana, or I guess the length of Indiana. He'll be, I think, the first person to have ever run the length of Indiana, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, he's going to be doing that coming up here in September, and I'm going to be crewing him out there with him, doing all of his nutrition. So I'm doing that whole nutrition plan. Awesome. And then being on site with him. I've done this for a couple of people. I crewed someone doing the Arizona Monster 300. I've done a couple of these things. It's really fun. I have a lot of fun doing it, but I do that as well. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
And that's what Mason's getting after right now.
Yep.
Does that get us up to speed?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, we've got a couple of other businesses always going, but whatever.
What are the other businesses?
Well, so I own a demolition company.
What's that called?
Wright Brothers Demolition.
Wright Brothers Demolition.
Me and my little brother own it. And then I have my gym, which is called Gym Gain Your Movement. It's fun. And
Gain Your Movement.
And then Gym. I consider social media. It's a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a real thing. What kind of gym is it?
It's a functional training gym. So we're actually partnered with a physical therapy clinic.
Nice.
And so a lot of our clients are older adults, or those who are just rehabbing, who are basically post rehab from an injury, trying to get back to things, and also a gym. Mm-hmm. I work out there every day
for sure.
But our whole focus is functional fitness.
Gain Your Movement.
Mm-hmm.
Gym in what city is it in?
Bountiful, Utah.
Awesome.
Old Bountiful.
And people can find you at buffrunner.com. Mm-hmm. You have a YouTube channel. You have an Instagram. Both those are at Buff Runner.
Yep.
And then Strava, which I don't have Strava.
I'm also Buff Runner on Strava.
At Buff Runner on Strava. If people want to check in with you. Carrie, do you got any questions?
I am curious, just because we got to spend a lot of time with you in prep before the 1,000-mile run, and now we're on the other side of it. It's been a little while. What's one of the big things, or what's maybe the biggest thing that you've taken away from the completion of that 1,000-mile run? Since before for prep, now coming out the other side of it, what's that big lesson?
I think the lesson comes back to that, you can accomplish so much more than you think. There really are no limits. And I think one of I will say, there's no limits. I found myself, I discovered who I was, truly who I was, but there's this other level to it where, we've kind of talked about this at different points. The reason you aren't going further is because you've set that limitation on yourself. At some point in time, let's just put it into running's perspective. You run that marathon, you get done with that marathon, and you're done. You're like, oh my gosh, marathon was so hard. Go run. If you tell yourself you're going to run 10 miles that day, you're going to get to 10 miles, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, that 10 miles was so hard. You're setting these mental and physical limits on yourself. Because you tell yourself, well, I'm going to do this. And then you get there. Well, you got there. Now what? And so you can, and there's a mindset where you can continue past, you can continue on, but most people stop because they said they were going to do it. They got there, and then their mind tells them, oh, I'm there, I'm done. And when I finished 1,000 miles, 1,000% I could have run 55 more miles the next day. I just did it the day before. Why couldn't I do it the next day? But because I hit that 1,000 miles, my body was like, okay, we're done. And I shut down. My body shut down because I told myself 1,000 miles. And I remember that next morning sitting there thinking, I was like, this is crazy. I could have done it, but because I told myself 1,000 miles, we're done. I actually ran 1,001, by the way. You got to give myself credit. I set that limit on myself. that limit was 1,000 miles. Sure, that limit's massive, but it's still a limit that was placed. And when I hit it, my mind said, stop. If I set it for 2,000, we would have run 2,000 miles. Mm-hmm. If I set it for 3,000, we would have run 3,000 miles. It comes back to, you're just setting limits on yourself. And it hit me like a truck when I finished, where I was like, holy shit. It really is just a mental limit that we place on ourselves. And so when I go do anything now, I just don't. Yeah, sure, I might have a physical time limit in the day where it's like, oh, I can only work out for this long or run for this long or whatever. Again, can't change the laws of physics, but there's, with the my business side of my life, I basically, the other day I was sitting there and I'd worked, it was like a 16-hour day. My wife's like, are you tired? I'm like, no, I don't get tired anymore.
Hell yeah.
Because I'm just, that's where I'm at. I don't get tired anymore.
That's awesome, bro.
Because I'm not putting that limit on myself. I'm not going to let myself, sure, I'll get sleepy, but I'm not going to get tired anymore. Because it's a physical limit we place on ourselves.
Sometimes those physical limits need to get smashed and the mental limits need to get smashed.
Yeah.
And you know what? We have a little something for you.
I know, I heard you shuffling.
We got a little something for you. This right here. This is
that is so cool.
The hammer of discipline. The hammer of discipline. This right here. This is hand forged in America, of course.
Of course.
A guy named Carl Dunn, who was in that show. I think the show is called Forged in Fire. He was like one of those guys on that forged stuff. And he down at Taylor's Mill in South Carolina, he forged this hammer of discipline as a recognition for you hammering through all limitations and
that is so cool.
And getting after it.
Oh, and 1,001.6.
Of course, man. We got it. We don't play around. Details matter.
Details do matter. Oh, this is so cool. This late in high school gave me like a cool plaque.
Nice.
Got my name on it. It says 1,000 miles.
Oh yeah.
I love you guys, but this might be cooler. This is sweet.
Well, right on, man.
Thank you.
Well earned. Obviously, you worked your ass off for that. And you suffered for it. You got any final thoughts before we close it out?
Go do hard shit. Don't place those limits on yourself.
Jack. Great advice, man. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for talking us through that.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, it's
an honor.
It's been great. It's been great to watch the whole process. We kind of, at Jocko Fuel, we got involved with you. These guys kind of told me who you were and what you were doing, and I was like, oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Let's go. And so thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing the lessons that you've learned along the way. And thanks for what you're doing to raise money and awareness, for all the single parents out there, which is awesome. And now you've got this thing going with this other organization to help with people being on the right path, which is obviously what we're into, people being on the right path. And you have certainly set out a right path for all of us.
I just hope someone sees this and knows that they can change their life.
Absolutely, brother. I think that is a fact. So thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, Mason Wright has left the building. Clearly, he's been getting after it. He's going to be getting after it some more. And he's running, mostly running, but he lifts all the time.
Running, lifting, training,
and working, running. He was showing me some pictures before he left. Mm-hmm. He's on a job site demoing shit,
representing. By the way,
yeah, he's representing, but it's like this dude is fully getting after it.
He is.
So awesome. When you're fully getting after it like that, you need the right fuel. And as you heard, you, me, and Mason Wright, we all recommend Jocko Fuel. Check out JockoFuel.com. We got everything that you need. We got energy. We got hydration. We got protein. Lots of protein. We got that new raspberry gelato, which I had before I came to train today. Well, after I got done working out, I had a little time before training, and I had the raspberry gelato. And dang, it tastes good. It's a little sweetness. It tastes very refreshing. So get in there. JockoFuel.com. You can get pretty much everything that you need, and you can get it around the country right now. We're in over 50,000 stores at this time. That's probably includes your retailer, where you buy your groceries and whatnot. If they don't have it, ask for it. We'll get you taken care of. But we got everything that you need to stay strong and stay fueled. So check out jockofuel.com. Also, originusa.com. We're making American-made goods. We're making American-made jiu-jitsu gear. We're making American-made jeans, American-made boots, American-made T-shirts. We're making American-made gear. And we're not just making it here in America. We're making it with 100% American-made materials. So the cotton, the zipper, the twill, it's all from America. So get yourself some 100% communist-free. No communism. It's 100% communist-free. It's heavily tested for communism. There's no communism. OriginUSA.com. Get some.
We've also got JockoStore.com, where you can get your gear to represent on the path.
Yeah, look at you, dude. Just jacking your boys' claims.
Like I never left, man.
Yeah.
So we've got the Discipline Equals Freedom shirts. We got the good shirts. You know, these are items we can wear when we're representing. We've also, I got a sneak peek today of some new gear that we got going up on the store. Is that, or the 250th shirts, is that Shirt Locker or is that Jocko Store?
That's Jocko Store.
Jocko Store.
We always make a little Independence Day
of course.
T-shirt to represent. So yeah, that should be live here shortly.
Right on. So keep an eye out for that new Independence Day Jocko Store Defcore standard issue. Not quite standard issue.
No, it's not standard issue.
It's just a
It's
little
issue,
hitter.
though.
Right on. Check.
Yeah. So check out JockoStore.com and check out the subscription scenario.
Yeah, Shirt Locker. So if you like cool designs that are deathcore adjacent, check out that
Wait,
Shirt
why
Locker.
are they deathcore adjacent? Aren't they just straight deathcore in many scenarios?
They are straight deathcore, but the designs are a little more varied than people may expect from just a regular Jocko Store shirt. But people love the Shirt Locker designs. I love the Shirt Locker designs. Subscription, new shirt every month. Definitely worth getting involved in.
Right on. Get involved.
Get involved.
Books. We got a bunch of books. Apparently Mason Wright's writing a book, which we'll look forward to that. Put Your Legs On by Rob Jones. Need to Lead by Dave Burke. We got a bunch of books that I've written, including kids' books. Those warrior kids out there, get them on the path. Take care of your kids. Take care of the neighbors' kids. Let them read a book that's going to help them in so many different ways. WarriorKid.com. Check that out. Also, if you need steak, ColoradoCraftBeef.com. Get yourself some good steak and some tallow. You know what tallow is?
Beef tallow.
Beef tallow.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay, so this is, you cook with it. Well, this one, I cook with it.
Yeah.
Just throw it in the pan, and it greases up that pan proper with that beef tallow. And it's not some formulated chemical thing. It's beef tallow. And those beef sticks are pretty legit. So check out ColoradoCraftBeef.com. We got the muster for Echelon Front coming July 8th through the 10th in San Diego. So if you need leadership in your world, which you do, if you have issues in your world, which you do, those issues will be solved by leadership and through leadership. So check out echelonfront.com. We have an entire leadership consultancy. That's what we do. And like I said, we also have an event in San Diego, July 8th through the 10th. Come and check that out. We have an online training academy, extremeownership.com. We teach the skills of leadership online. There's interactive courses and there's live events that we do all the time. So check that out as well. If you want to help service members, active and retired, you want to help their families, you want to help Gold Star families, check out Mark Lee's mom, Mama Lee, and her incredible charity organization. If you want to donate or you want to get involved, go to americasmightywarriors.org. Check out heroesandhorses.org. Check out Jimmy May's organization, beyondthebrotherhood.org. Check out warriorsinneed.org. So we had Ben Ingram on the podcast, and he's taking service members from all the services that worked in aviation and kind of fast-tracking them into jobs in civilian aviation. And there's like 30,000 job openings. And if you want to get one of those jobs, check out warriorsinneed.org. It's cool. After he came on the podcast, a bunch of the big airline companies are reaching out to him. They need people. So check out warriorsinneed.org if you want to help that out. And then strongholdrescue.org. Another good one. And finally, singleparentproject.org. That's what Mason was trying to support and supported in his 1,000-mile run. So check that out as well. If you want to connect with Mason on the interwebs, check out buffrunner.com. And then on YouTube and on Instagram and social media, including Strava, he's at buffrunner. And for us, you can check out Jocko.com. And then on social media, I'm at Jocko Willink. Carrie is at Carrie Helton. Just be careful, because there is an algorithm which is looking to ruin your life. Don't let it. Thanks to all the Americans right now that are stationed around the world in uniform, protecting freedom and defending our way of life. We could not do any of the things that we're doing right now without your service and sacrifice, and we thank you for it. Also, thanks to our police, law enforcement, firefighters, paramedics, EMTs, dispatchers, correctional officers, Border Patrol, Secret Service, as well as all other first responders. Thank you for defending us here on the home front. And everyone else out there, the path is hard, and there will be obstacles, and there'll be challenges, and there'll be headwinds, and there'll be injuries, and there'll be pain, and it will be uphill. Always uphill. There will be fatigue. But if you can just take one more step, if you can just take one more step, you can overcome, and you can achieve that goal. So go out there and get after it. And that's all we've got for tonight. Until next time, this is Carrie and Jocko out.